Okay. Okay, it looks like we are now streaming live on Facebook a few minutes behind schedule. Sorry to all of you who are joining a little bit earlier, but I know how it works. Probably most of you are just tuning in, and that's great. So yes, while you're getting caught up, please send some hearts if you're excited to be awake and alive this morning. Send some likes, some hearts. Guys, you know the show. This is another YL online class. It's already mid-July. It's been an absolute incredible month already. It's been busy. It's been exciting. We've had PSK dramas with out of stockages. We have a new MEO that's live that has Thyme included. It has just been a roller coaster. However, let me just say, I checked enrollments yesterday and they were still trending all-time high. Thank you for all you guys are doing. It's amazing. So to top it off, we're in the middle of July. I want to thank you for choosing to watch this Facebook Live with us and to learn more. Every single week, we try to teach, we try to share, and really, I want to thank you for coming in and taking the opportunity to learn. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing. All of you know that we've recently launched a new oil in the Philippines. It's what we're calling the super herb, thyme. Sometimes I call it thyme, and my staff make fun of me. So I hope you're ready to learn more about thyme today. To do so, I want to introduce our speaker and trainer for the day. Okay, what I will tell you is we have a whole built out introduction for her. And before the video, she said, "Don't you dare do that, Franco. They just want to hear me teach." And that is, we love that about Cherie. She's absolutely phenomenal, guys. You will love her. She has a heart of gold. What I can tell you about Cherie is that every time that we've had the chance to interact, I've learned something new about either Young Living or oils. She is I want to call her an animal whisperer, but you'll find I actually sent a couple of times my questions from my mom to her. My mom asked me questions. "Hey, Franco, what about my dog Luna's having this?" And I'm like, "You got to talk to Cherie. You got to talk to Cherie." So I go to her a lot, and I tell members to go to her a lot whenever there's things with oils, because sometimes that is somewhat of a specialty. But she has been with Young Living over the years, and definitely has spent a lot of precious time with Gary. Through that, has learned a lot, shared a lot, and just was with Gary in some very critical times. And for that, Young Living, me, and all those who love and appreciate what she's done are forever indebted to her. So, guys, listen. I hope that you'll enjoy the time today. I pass it over to Cherie, our Royal Crown Diamond from the U.S., and our good friend, and today our teacher, Cherie. Our Philippines audience is all yours. We're so happy you're here with us.
Thank you, Franco. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Well, as Franco said, I really like to just dive in because your time is valuable. And one of the most important things is there's only one thing you can't get more of, and that's time, unless it's in the bottle. And you just are getting that. And so that's the fun part. And so it's a little joke, but in a way it's not, because there's certain things that Young Living does for us and who we are in the world that defies what we've been told over time. And so it affords us the ability to show up in ways that most people would go, "Say what?" Okay. And so that's truly what this is all about. So I'm going to share some things with you. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. And we're going to dive right in, and we'll open for questions after each item. Okay. That way we don't get too far back. So I was given a list of items by Dewey, and to help you, maybe give you a little bit of extra information that might be more valuable. So I'm going to jump right in here. Oh no, that's not what I want to do. Cancel. Okay. Now I need to go back to my PowerPoint. There we go. Am I screen sharing? Can you all see that?
Not yet. Not yet.
Right. I don't know how to do that then. How do I? Oh.
Let's see. It should have at the top maybe which screen you're going to share. Let me see. Are you using PowerPoint?
Yes. And
Okay.
it worked perfectly before, and I didn't do anything different.
So when you hit share screen on Zoom, you should does it pop up with the slideshow? It should have a bunch of different windows.
It's taken up my whole screen right now.
Okay. So do this. Why don't in the top left-hand corner we'll hit the minimize button,
Okay.
the little yellow one, or I'm sorry, the green one.
I can't hit anything because my PowerPoint is 100% of my screen.
Oh, let's hit escape then.
Oh boy. Okay. You are talking to someone that knows bodies more than she knows technology.
No worries. Did that help minimize the lower it down a little bit?
Yeah. Let me just see. Okay, there we go. Share screen.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it again. Here we go.
Again.
And share.
Now we got it. Bingo. It's working.
And come on. I have to say, I love you to my computer, so it works.
I can see that. It's perfect. Now I can see full presentation mode, all you.
Thank you for guiding me. Thank you, dear. Okay, so this is the disclaimer, and I need to minimize this so I can read things. There we go. All right, here we go. So Young Living is happy to provide a platform for training for our speakers. Some views and opinions expressed during the course of this training are purely those of the speaker, that would be me, and may not in any circumstances be interpreted as an official position of Young Living Essential Oils. The information presented during this training is truly for educational purposes exclusively. Young Living products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Anyone that is experienced with any form of any disease, illness, or injury should truly consult a physician that is knowledgeable in their care of treatment. And if you have any questions regarding this, please email conduct.ph@youngliving.com. Okay, there we go. So let's go. Let's talk about frankincense. And I can't see any of you, but you can hopefully see the screen. So we're just going to dive right in. So this is actually Boswellia carteri, frankincense and this one's from Somalia. We get traditional carteri from Somalia. We get sacred frankincense, Boswellia sacra, from Oman. And I've had the privilege of being in Oman, and I've also had the privilege of being and getting some frankincense from the oldest frankincense tree that has been recorded to be over 800 years old. And I was there with Gary and a handful of other diamonds as we went to that country and on a humanitarian trip. It was absolutely spectacular. So let's talk a little bit about frankincense. Frankincense is called a sesquiterpene molecule, okay? And one of the wonderful things about those sesquiterpene molecules is they have the ability to really help the cells to be the best they possibly can be. And that is truly a gift. Now, as far as cosmetic uses, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. You may not know that well, Franco said that I'm known a little bit for animals, but Franco, you don't even know this. I was in the beauty industry since 1975, actually. And I used to own 4 salons and spas. I used to, and I also held the largest clientele. I had over 500 personal clients that still saw me. I was in that industry from 1975 until I sold all 4 of my salons December 28th, 2000. So I was in it, but I still was a consultant after that. I also helped to develop, for those of you who might know the product Aveda, my mentor in chemistry was Wally Levac. Wally Levac, I was working in the lab with Wally, learning a lot, and in comes Horst, who was the creator of Aveda. And he asked Wally if he had an idea. And he asked Wally if he would help him create this idea. So Wally and I actually created the first Aveda products. And so that's a little bit about my background. I was an international product educator, and I was what would be called a platform artist in the beauty industry. I also did hair and makeup for fashion shows, for models, for TV, and for billboards and for magazines. So, and I traveled the world learning. So I have had working with essential oils basically since 1975 professionally, a really long time. And that's just a little bit about my background, okay? So when Young Living showed up in my life in 1999, it showed up in my life in January. I did not connect the dots on essential oils because what was going on with me, essential oils, the kind I knew was just for cosmetic uses, for beautification, things like that, and for perfumes. No way did I know that there was a whole nother aspect to essential oils. And so the frankincense from Young Living was nowhere near what I thought frankincense was. So I had to really do a deep dive and re-educate myself on these essential oils because they are very, very different than any others in the world. And so one of the things that I know for frankincense, we all know for inhalation. And Franco, can they see me or no? Can they not see me?
Let me
Can
go.
they
Let me
see
double
me?
check on Facebook. I think they can. Yeah, they can see you talking in the top right hand corner for sure.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. This is very strange because normally I do so many Zooms, but normally I get to see everybody's faces and I just get to like say hi and talk to them. So this is very, very like, whoa. Okay. So this frankincense from Young
Just so you
Living.
know, you're getting a lot of shout outs and hellos and loves around frankincense. You're getting a lot of engagement on Facebook.
Yeah, it's the bottle. It's the frankincense. And so this frankincense, when I smelled it, absolutely, it truly, I'm like, what is this stuff? And because it was unlike any frankincense I'd ever known. Now remember, I'd been using oils professionally since 1975. And when this showed up in 1999 in my life, and I used it heavily in 2000 until present because of some specific health conditions that I have. And I use both the traditional and Boswellia sacra, frankincense, the Carterie. And there, I did not know frankincense like this existed. Everything else I knew was strictly what I would call a perfume. This is a whole different level of life with oils. And so when we have Boswellia sacra or Boswellia Carterie, such as this one, this is truly one of the most amazing gifts. And I will, Dewey said, you know, Cherie, really focus on more of the cosmetic uses, and I can focus a little bit on the emotional uses or the fragrant uses of it. This is one of the best things you can use for your skin. It really is. And one of the challenges, though, when you're going to use oils directly on the skin is toxicity. And not from our oils, but from what you already have on your skin. Because even though these are cosmetic uses, they're still very potent and very powerful. And one of the things that they do is they have the ability to literally start to, toxins may start to come out of the skin when you use them. And I've had many people that I've worked with that have used other beauty products, other brands that have got toxic chemicals in them. And then they start using our oils because they love what it does for their skin. They love the appearance of the youthfulness. They love that the fine lines and wrinkles appearance are lifting, you know, the appearance of them. They love how smooth and glowing it helps their skin to look. They absolutely love that. But all of a sudden, all this stuff starts coming out from the toxic chemicals. So you really want to be, I would say, mindful. If you've used a lot of toxic chemicals on your skin, you want to be very aware of what the potentiality could be because of the potency of this wonderful. Now, will this oil create a toxic response in you? 100% no, it will not, because there's nothing toxic in this. What may happen is that you could start to, your skin could start to release toxins on its own because your skin may have too many toxins in from your previous products. So frankincense is one of the oils, personally for me, I put it on my face every night before I go to bed. This one or Boswellia sacra. I put a small puddle in my hand and I just keep it away from my eyes. I keep it away from my eyes, but I rub it all okay. And then I also do a deep inhale, a really wonderful deep inhale. And one of the things that this is very upon the inhalation, okay? And I know that with our regulations, they like us to say it creates an uplifting environment. And so if you think about it, anytime you are feeling of a lower mood, where, how about we do this? Do they have roller coasters in the Philippines? Great. Okay. So I would like you to think about your emotions and mood for a little bit, okay? And you know, a roller coaster is up and down and up and down and up and down. This can be our moods. Can anyone relate? Where our moods can be like a roller coaster, up and down and up and down, and our emotions up and down. Well, what happens? You go up, and then what happens when you go down, but you're like, oh my gosh, I don't like being down, so you put the brakes on. You put the brakes on, and you're going to hang out at the bottom. You're just going to hang out at the bottom. And that's what a lot of people do when their moods start to go down. They put the brakes on, and then they're stuck at the low mood point at the bottom, just like a roller coaster. Because what can happen is that will up and down and just whoosh, right up and through, okay? So if you are one of those people who's like, no, not again, put the brakes on, boom, down. Frankincense is like the big push, okay? It's like that little caboose that would, only this is like the big engine. And what it means that is it comes behind you and it can start to push you and push you and push you in the most loving, supportive way back up out of that low place on your roller coaster. So I hope that helps you to understand a little bit of how frankincense can help us when we diffuse it or when we inhale it. It's one of my favorites. Now, and inhaling it very deeply. Now, one of the other benefits about frankincense, and I bet very few of you knew this, but frankincense oil is one of the best oils. Let's talk about your best friend, or if you happen to be privileged enough to marry your best friend. And y'all know what I mean by best friend. Somebody who, when you're with them, you all of a sudden are like your best person ever. Positive attributes are amplified. They come out in you. You have more fun. You're uplifted. You're more vibrant. All of a sudden, you're just like, wow, I am a different person. I like this person. I like me when I'm around my best friend because we have a blast. So what does your best friend do? Your best friend, or if you're privileged to marry someone like that, they bring out the best in you. They love you where you're at, but they bring out the best in you. Frankincense. When you marry frankincense to another essential oil, okay, when you partner it with another essential oil, it brings out and amplifies the best attributes of that other essential oil. Okay, so if you're working with oils like lavender oil or thieves or any of your other oils, and you marry frankincense to it, whatever the best actions and the best attributes of any other oil, you put frankincense with it, and guess what? Those will be amplified and even more remarkable. How does that sound? Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. How many of you did not know that? Right? It's one of the best things at frankincense. Okay, so does anyone have any questions I can answer about frankincense? Because then we're going to move along. They gave me a big list of products to cover in an hour.
We'll have a little bit of a delay, Cherie, so I'll capture these questions and then
you'll grab me.
And then we'll grab you. Yeah, everyone's loving it. Just so you know, we're in love. Just keep going.
Okay. All right. So the next one is peppermint, and I've been to Singapore. I've been to Thailand. I've been to the equator. I have been where, I mean, pardon the expression, but your clothes are wringing wet outside walking around. It's like you took a shower with your clothes on. It's been that hot, okay? And I've been in the desert in Oman when it was 100 degrees. It was so hot. It's like the tires were melting. Okay. And we had, Gary took us out and we had 9 SUVs. Okay. And I'm not kidding you about those tires. We were in a wadi, which is the old dried up river bottom, and it's full of rocks. 7 out of 9 got flat tires. And we had to change those tires in 129 degrees with no trees, y'all, and no breeze. There were only 2 vehicles that did not get flat tires, Gary's and mine. And so I know what it's like. So guess what we did? We pulled out our peppermint. That's right. We pulled out our peppermint. We all had peppermint. And we, what we did is some of us had sweatbands or bandanas, and we put some water on our bandana. We put some peppermint on it, and then we put it around our neck, okay, to keep us. And all of a sudden, we felt much cooler, much, much cooler. We put it on our wrists. And one of the things that my sister with my nieces are big athletes. And in the summer when it's hot and humid and they're out playing softball or they're playing all sorts of other very high level rugby, or they, believe it or not, the girls played rugby, yes, or they played other phenomenal games outside sports, they'd get very, very hot. So she would put some peppermint in a glass spray bottle with some water, shake it up, and then in between innings or in between, the girls would come and they'd expose their tummies and she'd spray. They'd turn around and lift up their shirts in the back and spray their wrists, spray their neck. Don't get it in the eyes. And they were like champions all the time because they used their essential oils as part of their toolbox. Peppermint being one of the big ones. Some of the girls that tended to get real hot would take a drop of peppermint and rub it on top of their head. Others would put a drop of peppermint in their, oh, nope, can't do that. Okay. So, so peppermint is one of the most amazing, amazing oils. Okay. Now, is baseball big in the Philippines? Is there baseball in the Philippines, or what sports is in the Philippines?
Meds, what would you say? What's the top sports in the Philippines? I think they play football, basketball. That's right. Basketball is huge in the Philippines.
Basketball. Okay. All right. Because I use a baseball analogy usually. So, okay. So
I think they're used to Thai using rugby analogies. So it's okay. If you want to use baseball, it's okay. I'm sure they'll be okay.
Okay. So I'll use baseball because I think everybody knows baseball too, because it's the best analogy for peppermint. Because what is peppermint's attribute? Well, peppermint has many attributes. It is high in menthone. And so when you apply it on the skin, it's very naturally cooling. Okay, it's extremely naturally cooling. But there's another hidden benefit to peppermint, much like there is to frankincense. So I know that when you inhale it, that cooling sensation goes right up in and breathe it in, and all of a sudden you can be more alert and you can be more awake. So that's one wonderful benefit of the peppermint. But what's another wonderful benefit? Well, let's say that, because I call peppermint the driver, and this is really important. So whenever you start with oils, okay, you start with Valor and you end with peppermint. Always, whenever you're applying oils topically, start with Valor, end with peppermint. Very important. Why? I'll tell you when we get to Valor, I'll tell you why. But this is the important piece. Peppermint is a driver. And what that means is it intensifies and really works into the tissue all the other oils that you put on beforehand. So say you're at the World Series of Baseball, and the series is tied. 3 games for your team, 3 games for the other team. The 7th game is the tiebreaker. Okay. It's the bottom of the 9th inning, 2 outs, bases are loaded. Who do you bring up to bat? You bring peppermint up to bat, because peppermint will hit a grand slam and bring everyone that's already on base home to win the series. Did that help peppermint? Everybody understand peppermint a little bit better? Okay. Now, peppermint is a very intense oil, as we know. So if you're going to use it in a blend, you want to really minimize it. Rarely do you want to do equal peppermint. Okay. So peppermint, you're going to want to do, like, if you do 10 drops of another oil, even 12 drops of another oil, then you would do 1 drop of peppermint. Okay. That's how potent it is in your comparison. So there's peppermint. All righty. Super. So any questions yet, Franco? Because then we're going to move on.
Yeah, so I think people were actually commenting on the baseball. Just so you know, they do like baseball as well. So as you think about peppermint bringing it home, is there any explanation about why that is, or is that just kind of a common knowledge for us to take home?
The constituents in peppermint are very active. They're very potent, and they're very penetrating. That's why.
Awesome. Thank you. Perfect.
Good.
Thank you, Cherie.
Any other ones? We can crank her down.
I think we're okay. We're good for now. No, they're just engaged. We'll get a lot at the end for sure. Oh, actually, a question just came. Is that the same for frankincense in terms of being, how are they different in terms of active constituents to each other?
Well, they all have active constituents. It's that frankincense is the amplifier, peppermint is the driver.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Feel free to ask more questions, guys. We'll capture them and catch them on certain breaks throughout the presentation.
Okay.
I love the oil.
Okay, so Franco, tell us why you love it. Come on, tell us. Tell us why you love it.
If I do, I'm gonna start crying. So
come on. Tell me.
So what I love about Inner Child, honestly, is first of all, I'm a big fan of Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood. I didn't think there was a difference between Sandalwood and Sacred Sandalwood, Royal Hawaiian.
Huge.
Big difference. So I love Royal Hawaiian, but when I did an Inner Child exercise where it's about breathing and talking to my inner child, my younger self, and asking my younger inner self, what do you need? I did that with like frankincense, and it was really like raw and powerful and kind of like really like heavy for me. I did it with Inner Child, and it was so much smoother. It was still deep, it was still impactful, but I did it with Inner Child, and I just had a different result. So I had a good connection, a good experience with it. So
did you put it in your hands and just smell it, or did you put it on certain points, or
I put it behind my ears. I put a little bit behind my ears, and then breathed in, and then did the big stomach breathing, and then worked through the meditation exercise that way.
Very cool. Excellent. All right, so let's talk about Inner Child. Inner Child, the formula has changed over the years due to what oils we can have access to, because it did at one time have rosewood in it. And obviously we can't have access to rosewood for quite a few years now. So orange tangerine, ylang-ylang, Royal Hawaiian Sandalwood, as Franco said, there is a big difference because of the chemistry is very different. They both the sandalwoods are sesquiterpene molecules, and they're over 98% sesquiterpene, and because they're highly oxygenating, but they're very different in their action. Okay, jasmine, of course, lemongrass, spruce, and bitter orange. Okay, so let me share with you how Gary came about Inner Child. And the smell is beyond amazing. Now, bitter orange can also be called neroli, by the way. Okay, I don't know why it's bitter orange here, but it is neroli. And that might be part of the reason why the price tag is as it is, because neroli is a very low yield, tremendously powerful oil. And one of the wonderful things about Inner Child is Gary originally created it because he was working with a lot of people with emotions that had abandonment issues. Now, abandonment, not necessarily, birthing you and leaving you on the steps of the courthouse and walking away as you're a newborn infant, not necessarily even like that, but feeling like someone wasn't there for you when you needed them to be there for you, or for whatever reason growing up, there's like a gap inside of you and your needs were not met. The other area that's really helpful with Inner Child is disappointments, to really help you overcome disappointments and help you turn wounds into wisdom, especially from childhood wounds into wisdom. This is a really important piece. And usually if you find yourself, how do you know, what are some indicators that you think, it's like, how do you tell this would be a good oil for you? And I know we don't have this one yet in the Philippines, but we're getting it, right, Franco? Isn't this one that's coming in, I believe? Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we are working to get this one in, guys, just so you know. It's not available now, but they can get it on NFR now if they would like to.
Wonderful. Okay. So say that you are reacting in such a way to a situation that maybe is more intense than the situation warrants. And we all know we've done that, and we all know people who do it, where a situation happens and all of a sudden there's this like reaction, and people would call it an overreaction, or the opposite, where something that really should have hurt you were indifferent. You were completely detached and indifferent. Those are the two outside spectrums. And so then what you want to do is take your inner child, as Franco said. Now, one of the best places to put it is your heart space, because usually, when you're working with issues from childhood, where there are gaps, where there are holes, where there's wounds, usually when you're working like in those areas, the heart is where the hurting is, deep inside. But another really good place is that little bone right behind your ear. That's called the sternocleidomastoid bone, that little bump right back there. That's a really good spot. Just take one drop and put it behind each ear. Now, there are ear charts in your desk reference, or you can look up the auricular ear charts, AURICULAR, auricular ear charts. And it will show you different points on the auricular ear charts. It has nothing to do with Young Living. This has to do with reflexology, where it will show you if you have abandonment, or if you have, like it says, depression or anything like that on your ear chart. All right. And it's interesting that where a lot of people have piercings is exactly where they're experiencing those emotions that are linked to those piercings. It's quite remarkable. And so that would be another good spot to put your inner child oil. But again, there's two places you never put oils. You never dump oils in the eyes, and you never dump oils in the ears. That's a never. There's no exception. That's a never. Okay. And if you do get oils in your eyes, you don't use water, because water, of course, will intensify it. You take a fatty oil like V6 if you have it, or coconut oil. The Philippines has coconut oil readily available. Just grab it and just rub it and kind of muck it in your eyes, and then do some eye flushing. All right. And then your ears, just never dump oils in the ears, because that is a level of discomfort that so far goes beyond that word that there are no words to describe. So that would be a never. Please be very mindful of that. If you do need to do that, put it on your fingertip, put the oil on your fingertip and rub it where you need it, but don't ever take a bottle and put it in the ear. Never. Okay. So inner child, if you're going to be working with inner child, Franco was an absolutely perfect, shared his perfect testimony, because usually you want to be alone and have some privacy. I would not put inner child in the diffuser if you live with other people. And I would not put inner child in the diffuser if you have animals that you have rescued. Okay. I would not. I would put it on my fingers and pet them, maybe rub it in their ears a little bit, gently help work through things. Or if you do foster care, I would start with the inner child on the bottom of the feet. That's what I would do. I would just start with one drop of inner child on the bottom of the feet if you do foster care. And just very gently start to work through some of those hidden, literally, emotions. And I bet, Franco, you were surprised when you had that reaction. I bet you were real surprised. Caught you by surprise, didn't it? Yeah. Because you had no idea that was in there.
What was for me, and we actually encouraged me to actually, and the reason I did it, to be honest with you, Cherie, is because I watched an old Gary video where he had explained it, and we did this as a staff. To be honest with you, all Filipino staff. I know we're gutsy here in the Philippines. We did this as a staff, just on our staff call. I just felt inclined to share what I did and welcome them to try it if they wanted to. And it's so profound how it touches you emotionally immediately. The reason why we did that is I just wanted people to realize that we're in the business of essential oils, and this is where there's so much power and so much value. It is very personal and their own journey, but sometimes you don't know where to start. So I really love what you're sharing here. This is phenomenal. And you gave me another idea for my mom's dog, because she has serious abandonment issues. So see, every single time I talk to you, I take something away from my mom. So thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you didn't interrupt. That's what this is about. When we share, and it's teaching, yeah, but we all learn from each other. I don't care. I've joined Young Living in 1999. I still learn stuff from my brand new members every day, because they didn't know. And so they just grabbed an oil and used it, and they're like, man, did it work? And I'm like, you used that oil for that and it worked? They're like, yeah. I'm like, dang, I would have never done that, but it did. So I'm like, thank you. Brand new person just shared it with me yesterday. I'm like, oh, all right. Now I learned something else I can use that for. It's so good. Okay. What Gary originally taught, cannot do this in the Philippines, is you put it on your thumb and you suck your thumb and put it in the roof of your mouth, because the fastest way into the brain is through the nose. The second fastest way into the brain is the roof of the mouth. I'm going to repeat that so you didn't zone out on me. The fastest way into the brain is through the nose. The second fastest way into the brain is the roof of the mouth. Now in the Philippines, we are topical use only of oils, and that's what the regulations say, so we need to honor that. Okay, so I just shared with you how Gary originally created it. Okay, and so this, I know people who wear this literally as their fragrance of choice, because it smells so good. It's not a girly scent. It's just a delicious scent. If there's one word to describe it, I would say delicious. It's really a wonderful, wonderful. And if you are caught up in something, if you're caught up in a low place, okay, if you're caught up in that really low rock bottom place, start to grab your inner child, being you'll have access to it pretty soon, and just start to breathe it in. Put it in your hands, smell it. If you can, put a little bit, rub it through your hair, because your skin flashes. The oils will be gone in within 20 minutes in your skin, but your hair is more porous, so it will stay there longer. Okay. And another really, really good place. So the first place Gary said was roof of the mouth. The second place Gary said, put it in your navel, put it in your belly button. That is the second place Gary said to put it, because whatever oil, no matter what it is, whatever oil you put in your belly button, the frequency of that oil is in your whole body in 11 seconds. That's right, 11 seconds roughly the frequency. And Gary and Bruce Tanyo from Tanyo Technologies did a lot of this research a long time ago, okay? And so that's where that information came from. It's truly, and then for me though, I always, whatever's in my hand, when you're dealing with my inner child or my overreactions, or where I can't seem to get past something, inner child's a really good oil to marry with other oils like forgiveness or other oils. And the reason is because when you can't get past something and you know it's in your best interest, really go through the forgiveness process and just whatever it is, let it go. Just let it go. But if you're truly honest with yourself, your heart's like, I can't do that. I cannot do that. And if you really think about it, you start to get very teary-eyed and your voice quivers and you start to get emotional, because whatever happened hurt you so deeply that you just don't know how to heal from it. In your head tells you, you should do this. You know it's the right thing to do. You just gotta like power through it. But in here, it's like, ain't no way I can power through this. It's too deep. Okay? That's where this oil is really helpful, because it's very gentle. It's very, very, very gentle. I call it gentle progress, because what it does is it lovingly takes you by the hand, literally, emotionally, lovingly takes you by the hand and says, come on, sweetheart, come on. We can do this. Let's do it one step at a time. We'll take it slow, but we will do this, and we'll get there. Just don't let go of my hand. And that's what this oil does for us. Okay? Does that help? I hope that helps people to understand the power of inner child. It's really helpful. Okay, good. Any questions, just interrupt me, okay? All right, next one. RC. Do y'all know this was the very first blend Gary ever created? RC? And see, I got an old bottle. Can you see that? There you go, old bottle. See my old bottle? There you go. All right, so this is the very, very, very first blend Gary ever created. Gary was in France learning about oils, and he used to go over and study there quite a bit, because he used to study with the doctors over there. And so he had a clinic in Mexico where people were brought that traditional medical intervention had said, there's nothing more we can do for you. And so a lot of these people were so far down the road of their unfortunate diagnosis that bringing them back was seemingly impossible because they were so far along that road. And so this was one of those situations where Gary was in France learning, and he had, of course, other doctors and nurses at his clinic in Mexico, and they received a patient who had a very serious life-threatening diagnosis, very, very serious. And they literally thought this patient had come there to die because that's how serious it was. And they, the medical hospital did said this patient will not live through the night. That's how very serious it was. So when Gary got back from France, this is what he came upon in his clinic. And so he took what he had learned in France at the medical conference and literally created a blend, okay, called RC. He put a big sheet, like sheets, over the gentleman's bed. He put a diffuser in the bed, under the sheets, not under the bed, but under the sheets, right next to the gentleman. And this was not a hydrosonic water diffuser, but this was a diffuser that diffused the oil straight into the air, a nebulizing diffuser without the water. He took a bottle of his blend. He didn't call it RC at that time, but of his blend, tipped it upside down, and he sat up with the gentleman all night because he didn't want the gentleman to die alone. This is the heart of the man who founded this company. He didn't even know this man. He had just gotten back from intense trainings, massive jet lag, everything. And this man had come to his clinic because there was no other hope for him. And so Gary sat next to him, held his hand under the sheet. The gentleman was under the tent sheet, tents, whatever, on his bed. Gary sat outside in his chair all night long and just held his hand. And do you know, the next morning, the patient was still alive, and he began to cough up some very nasty black stuff. And by just diffusing the oils into the air and applying it topically. So for regulation, that's as much as I can say about that story, but I can tell you that this is the very first blend. So what do many people notice? Well, of course, we have eucalyptus globulus, myrtle, marjoram, pine, radiata, citridoria, lavender, cypress, black spruce, and peppermint. This is a powerhouse. And if you ever notice that you are having a more of a challenging time taking some deep breaths, if you're noticing that things are not as clear in this area as you'd like them to be, just put a few drops on, rub it in. Now, I'm going to share with you a secret. If you feel like you have a traffic jam going on up here, anybody feel like they have a traffic jam like right here? Okay. Yeah, exactly. So if you have all that like massive traffic jam right here where things feel like they're gridlocked, like locked, everything is just like locked in tight. If you look at your house and say that your plumbing is completely backed up on all 3 levels, okay? All 3 levels of the house, the plumbing is backed up. And most people, when they have this traffic jam here, they go right to taking the oils here. Well, what's that going to do? Nothing but create more pressure. That's going to create more pressure. Why? Because you didn't open up the channels for it to release itself. Okay? And this is one of the most powerful things because eucalyptus is really a powerful. Say that your cells are like a door with a lock. Eucalyptus has a universal key that opens every lock. No door can stay locked to eucalyptus. Okay? Eucalyptus is the landlord. All right? And so what you want to do is the first thing, if you're feeling a lot of like, right there, put a puddle in your hand and I want you to rub it in the back of your neck. Your brainstem in the back of your neck. First place, you put RC. Second place, another puddle, and you rub it right here. That's another place. Okay? Then after that, you can breathe it in deep. And then you can put it wherever else you would like to put it. Okay? But first place always for RC is back of the neck. Second place is all right here. So around the ear and right here and right here. Everybody with me on RC? So important. Okay, one of the other things that's really good for RC is I've noticed that sometimes when I have some puffiness in certain areas, okay, I can literally whip some RC on, and all of a sudden, just think of that traffic jam where things are not moving, okay? And all of a sudden, things are opening up. All right, so RCs, remember, it's the landlord with the universal key to open things up. How's that? Is that good? Great. Any questions at all about our RC or any of the other oils so far? They're awfully quiet, Franco.
Oh, they're not. They're jamming, but it's all it's really their. I think everyone's learning like where to put the oil for the first time. A lot of people were surprised by some of the things, and they're just commenting on that, like in the belly button, RC behind the neck, on right on the top of the spine. I actually didn't know that either. I always drop it into my face mask and walk around and kind of breathe easy that way. So everyone here is really just commenting on the tips that you're sharing. So just so you know, no questions, we'll jump in, but they're really loving it. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next one, release.
Oh, and also people are really liking the analogies, just so you know. The landlord, this is good. Keep it coming. That's really nice.
Okay. All right, good. Okay, so the next oil is release. Now, release oil, royal Hawaiian sandalwood, ylang, okay, there's olive oil and there is a carrier oil in, okay? So lavandin, geranium, grapefruit, tangerine, spearmint, lemon, blue cypress, blue cypress, that's a magical oil. Davana, oh yeah, okay. And kefir lime is just it's just lime. Kefir lime is lime. Ocotea, jasmine, matricaria, okay, is Roman chamomile. All right. Blue tansy and rose. That's right, rose. So why did Gary create release oil? He created release oil for any area where you have tension or tightness. And I'm talking whether it's emotional, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, or this is the other thing, it's really fun to use in your life. So we're going to go there a little bit because the oils have frequency. And so what you do is any area where you're feeling stuck, or again, you're feeling like all like knotted up, okay? Or one of the things, I'm gonna tell you my tip, one of the tips I do is I put release oil on the bottom of my feet and then my liver, which is right underneath my right rib cage, every night before bedtime, so that I can release the pressures, the tension, the stresses of the day, so that I don't go to sleep carrying that with me. I have it right on my nightstand. I sit on the edge of my bed, okay? I lift up my jammies, I put it on my liver area. The last thing I do is I pull my feeties up, I rub it on the bottom of my feet, and then I crawl under the covers. And that's what I do with my release oil. And then I'll just sit there and breathe it in. And any tension, I get really quiet and I listen to what's going on in my body or my emotions or busy brain, okay? And what I do is I just get real quiet and I breathe in that release oil and I just literally start to feel by breathing it in really deep. I feel it literally melting and drifting away, much like the fog. When the sun comes out, the fog completely just disintegrates, just like that. It's not something you have to push or force. You just be present, breathe it in, be aware of it, and then watch it just literally disintegrate away. Or say you hold a lot of tension here, put it there. Low back tension there, okay? Those are all really crazy sounding things, but it works really well. Now, anywhere where you're feeling, if you can get really quiet and do what Franco did, he felt in his body, smelled the oil, he felt in his body where he had the emotion that was locked in. And it was a sensation in his body. Now, the emotion came forward. The emotion didn't say, hi, I'm childhood pain and sorrow and regret. And that's where I am and I'm right here. No, he just felt something. And as he breathed through it, then it felt comfortable to say goodbye and let go, okay? because there's a part of him that said, you know, we've outgrown this. We don't need to hold on to this anymore. So I invite you to start to think about, and maybe even write a list of things that you really know would be in your best interest to let go of. Okay? Even if it is, now this is, I'm going to throw you a curveball. Okay? I'm bringing out the Louisville Slugger here. Bam. How many of you say, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight? This is where I'm gonna do a little bit of a course correction. Our beingness, our subconscious mind is programmed to find what we lose. So if you keep saying, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight, I have to lose weight, you can go ahead and let it go. But guess what? You will work very hard to find it again and bring it back home. So what's a better way to say it is, I am really choosing to release this excess fat. I'm really choosing to release how that I'm stiff, and I'm really choosing to release this tightness. And then, okay, so write it all down. Sounds goofy. And then put some release oil on your paper. It sounds goofy, but do it. Do it. Because what it does, it's a little ritual that helps us to reprogram our thoughts and our beliefs. So if you have anything now, okay, I had a woman, actually, she was a young woman, okay, early 20s. She said, Cherie, I have to let go of this boyfriend. Can I just sprinkle release oil on him? And I said, well, you can, but no guarantees. All right. And so just think about the areas, whether it's in your physical body, whether it's your emotion, whether it's beliefs and thoughts. Because your beliefs are just a pattern of thinking that you continue to revisit over and over and over and over again. That's where your beliefs go. It's a pattern of thinking. So what if you do a pattern interrupt? What if you bring release oil in, and say, okay, we're going to take this apart. We're going to take this literally, we're going to take this pattern of thinking. We are going to take it apart, and then we're going to fling the pieces back up into the heavens so that they can't assemble themselves together to gain in me. Think about that. And those are ways that can help us. So can anybody think of any areas of your life or yourself? Okay. Say you're even not healing from an injury and you're frustrated. All right. Sprinkle some release on and just get quiet and listen and go, okay, what is going on in here? Usually there's an emotion locked into that area. What's going on in here? That body, you're programmed to heal. Body, you are programmed to heal. What is stopping you from healing? What's going on in there? And then literally do what Franco did. You get real quiet and you listen. And this sounds a bit woo-woo or foo-foo or esoteric, but this is how we're programmed. Why? Because remember what I said, the fastest way into the brain is through the nose. The second fastest way is the roof of the mouth. When you work with the olfactory, okay, very simply, when you inhale, okay, those oil molecules are lighter than air. That's why if you leave your oils unlidded, okay, you leave them unlidded, they will evaporate, and your oils, they'll go away. So you have to tighten the lid down, tighten the cap down, because they're lighter than air, the molecules. And so when you breathe them in, they travel up through the nose by the inhalation with the breath. They touch the olfactory nerves, bring it in. The olfactory bulb is right there. Okay, it's right there. See that? The olfactory bulb is right there. They get onto that and they travel all the way back through the olfactory nerve and they circle into the limbic system of the midbrain. There's so much research on this. There's so much university research. Columbia University did extensive research on this, by the way, in the US. And then what the molecules do is they spread out. And then because Gary did such a brilliant job. You see, some people say, oh, I can blend my own oils, and you can. But I'm going to share with you something. I've taken classes all over the world. There's a gentleman named Dr. Kurt Schnabelt. He owns the Pacific Institute of Aromatherapy. Okay? People who go there don't necessarily like the whole Young Living thing, because I would call them essential oil snobs. They're all certified aromatherapists that think they know more than most people. And so it's not, It's a challenging place to be, but he teaches great classes. So I go there whenever he teaches. He hasn't taught for a while. And one of the people said about blends, and this is what Dr. Krishnabelt said. Now he owns an essential oil company, mind you, and he blends, and he's known worldwide. But this is what he said. He got quiet. He was up behind a podium. He got quiet. He put his hands on the podium and he looked around. And he said, "What I'm about to say, the majority of you are not going to like, but it's the truth. There is one man in this world that blends essential oils properly, and that's Dr. Gary Young. Because Gary, not only does he understand the molecular structure, but he also understands the physical harmonics. But he takes it a step further, and he literally understands the energetic blueprint of each oil and how to assemble them in what order. Because y'all, when these blends are made, there's a specific order that they're made in. Did you know that? It is not just dump them all in and whip it up like with a mixer. Okay, no. These oils are put in a specific order. And sometimes Gary mixes these three together and those two and these four, and then they have to sit for a while so that they get their harmonics straight. And then he will add different oils in at different times. Did you know that? That's what he does. No one else in the world does this. No one. No one. Gary was the only one. And that's why Dr. Krishnabelt, and he had aromatherapists, top aromatherapists from all over the world in his classes. And when he said that, you should have seen their faces. I'm like, yes. Why? Because I knew it. I felt it. Remember, I'd been using oils since 1975. And when I got these oils, I felt something different. And I had to do a double take because I didn't know they were oils because of my own personal life experiences. And these oils actually didn't save my life. I was dying when these oils came into my life. And so one of the most amazing things to understand is that when people say oils do this or that, or no. Young Living oils are different. They are different than any other oils out there. Okay? I hope you hear that. Different than any other oils out there. There is no company that does what we do across the board. And people go, oh, seed to seal. No, they don't even, it's just words to people. They don't have a clue what it means. So I don't even use seed to seal because people are like, yeah, so what? Okay, now I'm getting passionate, Franco. It's okay.
Actually, I'm like, I was gonna ask some questions, say some stuff, but you're dropping the bombs, and I know everyone's like, boom, like I know Kai and Faith is on here. We got Linda. Everyone over here is like, mic drop, girl, mic drop, because that's amen. That's all I want to say is amen. So a couple of things that you're saying here, Cherie, that I just want to retouch for some people maybe who are new or hearing this for the first time. A lot of us are like, woo, say it, Cherie. And there was a couple of questions I want to redirect. So one thing you mentioned, which I think is phenomenal, we don't really market it at all, which blows my mind, is what you mentioned. And being an employee, I can vouch for it. Literally, like you said, some of these blends, they sit, 2 or 3 oils are applied, they sit for 2 days or 1 day or 18 hours and whatever. And really, when you look at the blends, every single blend we have was created by Gary Young, and nobody else in the world can replicate that. Like, nobody understands this stuff. So one of the things I was going to ask is when you look at release, you see all of these oils, and you kind of touched on it, which is great. Someone might say, why do they have all these oils like grapefruit and tangerine and spearmint? But you kind of touched on it. Do you want to expand upon that or share a little bit more? Each oil has a reason. And do you want to share maybe a little bit about that and why it is that it's so important to know that?
Sure, absolutely. So please don't get hung up on the chemistry unless you're a chemistry geek. And if you're a chemistry geek, then you want to get like this book, okay, your desk reference book. You want to get Dr. David Stewart's book, Healing Oils of the Bible. You want to get Dr. David Stewart's chemistry book. If you're a chemistry geek, you really do. Get those books. You get them from LSP. Get those books. Because then that will answer your chemistry questions. And your brain will go, boom, got it. Okay? And you will be so thrilled and excited. All right? So thrilled and excited. But what happens is our emotions And Bruce Lipton talks about this. Okay, there's so many scientists now. Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's a PhD scientist, professor in biology. There's so many scientists now. Okay, one is called The Biology of Belief, is another book, phenomenal, where our emotions have different chemistry. Our brain emits different chemistry with different emotions. Our brain just does that. They emit it. Okay, different proteins, different neurotransmitters, which are fancy names for proteins. That's what our brain does when we experience different emotions. And that is the master communicator. And then it goes through the body and tells it what to do or not do, and it gets all confused or not confused, according to emotionally, because our emotions drive everything. Everything, folks. And what drives our emotions? Our beliefs. Okay, that's why the book, The Biology of Belief, is so critical. Okay, and so what happens is each emotion or a combination of emotions have a different biochemical response in the brain. When we have a different in the body, when we have a different biochemical response, we have different molecules that our body creates on a physical level. Because it does that, each one of these oils has a complete different chemistry. Grapefruit is the highest in limonene. It's over 94% limonene. If you want to look that up on the internet, I would love to be teaching in your living room, because then, according to Mary Young, I could let her rip. But right now we're on social media. I can't let her rip. Okay, so I'm walking the line. But you can look up limonene, all right? And you look that up and you go, dang, girl, whoa, I need more of that. Okay, we all do. Okay, let's look up, let's go to oh boy, let's go to blue tansy. Blue tansy has chemazoline in it. If you knew what chemazoline did, that constituent, whoa, you'd be like, oh man, my nerves would be so happy. Okay, so, and like we talked about with ylang ylang or blue cypress, all right, the constituents in that, or Royal Hawaiian sandalwood being over 98% sesquiterpene molecule, and how that works communication with, again, just inhaling the moles. Okay, so we need all these different oils because they all are different pieces of the puzzle. And if you look at, we have 100 trillion cells in our body. Okay, and each cell has the ability to replicate. All right, so we have 100 trillion times 100 million, y'all. That's how many cells we have in our body. Do you think we don't need a whole bunch of puzzle pieces to get all this figured out? Yes, we do. And each one of these oils, and by the way, where does that information come from? All right, so I didn't finish. So let me finish that and I'll come back. Chapter 2, Dr. David Stewart's book, Healing Oils of the Bible, right around page 28. We have approximately 100 trillion cells in our body. Each cell in our body has a strand of DNA which has the ability to replicate itself 100 million times. So you have 100 million times 12 times 100 trillion. There is no computer in the world that can come up with a number that big. That's what's living. That's who we are on a physical level. And then you throw the emotions in, and then you throw the DNA in, and you're like, huh, no wonder why I'm just messed up some days. Okay? And this is all communication going on in us. So in Gary's innate wisdom, he understood the distinct chemistry. Do you know lavender has over 200 different molecular constituents in? That's just lavender, over 200. Okay, we can go through each oil, boom, 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 boom. And it has major and minor constituents. The other amazing thing about Young Living, they're the only essential oil company that distills for the minor constituents. Do you know that? Why? Because it's expensive. Every other oil company just distills for the fragrance molecules. They do not distill for the minor molecules, which are the activators, just like vitamin C. Okay? When you have vitamin C, you need a rutin. That's why the creator, God, call it what you'd like, okay? That presence that lives in us and breathes us, that created us, where we come from. Why do you think rutin was put in every fruit and vegetable that has vitamin C? Because rutin is the activator so our body can uptake the vitamin C. If it doesn't have rutin, you might as well just say you have expensive urine because it's going right down the commode. Okay? oils are like that. That's why when you go on the internet, it says crazy, insane things about essential oils. Killed this, did that. It's like, well, maybe another brand did, but Young Living can't. You know why? Because it has the lesser molecules that buffer, that literally still cause those power molecules to be powerful. But it takes the sharp, harsh edges off because we have the minor molecules. We're the only company in the world that does that. I know. I have been all around the world to different distilleries and different companies, and I've watched them, and my jaw dropped. People with me literally would stand next to me and go like this, because I was shocked at what I was seeing. 8 minutes to distill lavender in the back of a truck. 8 minutes from start. I'm like, well, you just scorched all the lavender. You just created the chimney effect. And maybe you got one fragrance molecule out of that whole field of lavender that you put in the back of that semi truck. That's not Young Living. That's not Young Living. We don't do that. I know. I distill lavender. I helped build some of the farms with Gary. Okay. So I know. Gary and I have been up long hours working, and when the Melissa's up, y'all. We have this much time to get that Melissa off the field. It's not like the trees where we can take them down and we have a few, day or so we can let them sit. No, Melissa is like, we it's fast, it's delicate, we got to get it in, we got to do it. So we work around the clock a lot of the time. Okay, it's so different. Young Living is so different. And this is why, and I feel bad, Franco, because I'm just like, but
Great.
now you know my passion.
This is fantastic. What you're sharing, Cherie, is really amazing. Honestly, everyone is commenting, and we're all feeding into your energy. Just so you know, it's contagious, and what you're sharing, and I think everyone's hearing. You're getting a lot of hugs, a lot of loves, a lot of heart. This is the essence of Young Living. It's so important that everyone who's a member, everyone who's connected to Young Living, understands that this is what is different. This is what it's all about. So you're just nailing it. Really appreciate it. I know we want to move on to the next oil, but one question. I think it's way up in the scroll, so I'm losing questions, but because everyone's just commenting so much that they love it. We have like over 700 comments right now. So yeah. Well, let me double check that. Sorry, 591 comments. So everyone's blown away, tearing, taking notes. We got a lot of comments here. So one question came up that would totally I'm really curious if you might know this one. The difference between release and divine release that apparently is in one of the kits. Actually, is there a difference that you can explain? There was a couple people asking that.
Yeah, I can. And Franco, maybe I might want to shoot you my video too that I did. Yeah, divine release.
Please.
It's in the trauma kits. Okay, it's in the trauma kits. So here's where release is an oil that Gary created way back when. I don't know what year, but it was in the very early. It was before 1999. Maybe 96. I'd say he probably may have created release oil. And release oil is your general all-purpose, just boom, get it done. But now let's take it to the next level. Okay, when you have the trauma kits, and Gary in 2015, the Gulf War had hit, and he had really noticed that there was something, that it was a phenomenon that was being identified as PTSD. The war before, a few people in other wars around the world, a few people had experienced it. The worst PTSD came out of Vietnam War. That was the worst by far. But now with the Gulf War, the conflicts in Pakistan and all the, that whole region, the Arabic region, our men and women were coming back, and they were not the same. Even my former husband, Steve, his dad told me, he said, the man I sent to war is not the man I got back, because the man I got back is not my son who I sent to war. And it's true. It's true. Okay. So what's interesting is there is a soul shattering that happens to some people, not everybody in war, a soul shattering. And everyone handles it differently. So divine release deals with the shattering of the soul. Okay. It takes it to a whole different level. And that's where all the feelings of the deep embedded guilt and the fractionating of the soul, when you have a severe trauma that penetrates through your core of who you are, and goes all the way, almost all the way in, and affects, alters your DNA, because those with severe PTSD have been tested and their DNA has been altered with the trauma. And so divine release literally helps to work at that level. Did that help the person to understand the difference between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. And taught me something as well. So thank you, Cherie. Appreciate that. Absolutely.
Welcome. You're welcome. Okay, we ready to move on? Okay, because otherwise we're going to have a sleepover here.
I think people have literally gotten their sleeping bags out. They're ready. They're ready for the sleepover. So sorry. Go
Well,
ahead, Cherie.
it's morning there, but it's nighttime
That's right.
here.
Yeah, you want to sleep eventually, right? So sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Kai can type in. We had one on Monday nights or Tuesday morning for them. So okay, so thieves. Well, everyone knows about thieves, okay? Everyone. And thieves is clove, lemon, cinnamon bark, not cinnamon leaf. Big difference. A lot of oil companies sell cinnamon leaf, and they'll just put cinnamon on. Ours is cinnamon bark. Okay, cinnamon bark. And there's a big difference in the chemistry. Cinnamon bark is way more potent, has a way ton of cinnamaldehyde in. The cinnamon leaf has a minuscule amount of cinnamaldehyde, and it's way cheaper to distill. Takes less time. Oh, it's like no comparison. Okay, eucalyptus radiata and rosemary. So we all know where Gary got this. Gary was a huge studier of history. He loved history. He loved to follow legends. And he also loved to double check to see how much in legends were true or not. So we all know where this came from was during the time of the Black Plague in Europe. Okay. And not unlike a lot of something what people might think is circling our planet now at this time around. But in the Black Plague of Europe, there was 4 thieves, and they were looting, literally going into the homes of the dying and the dead and looting, and in the villages and looting them, just taking away any possessions they had. And they never got sick, these 4 thieves. So what did the king do? The king put out a proclamation, sent his armies out to capture them. And so the 4 thieves then were finally brought in, and the king said, you can either die a very slow, high torturous death, or you can die a quick, rapid death. So if you tell me how it is you did not get sick and did not get this plague after you went right into the depth of the plague, then you will die a quick death. Otherwise, your death will be very slow, painful, and very much filled with torture. And so they told the king, they evidently were sons of spice traders. And what they would do is they would take the spices from their fathers, steep them, and make a tea, drink the tea, and then take the spices and spread them all over their body once they were steeped. So they would dry them off and spread them all over their body, and they would drink the tea. And that's what kept them. So Gary collected, there's multiple legends about this. This is fact behind it too, because this is what did stop the plague. There is fact. So Gary took all the recipes and formulas, brought them into a lab, and of the quote, what the 4 thieves had said, because there were many, many versions of it. And he then tested and came out with the most potent one, which is the one we have, clove bud, not clove leaf. Again, clove bud. Almost all other cloves are clove leaf. Very cheap, complete different chemistry. Lemon, okay, and this is from the rind. It is not from the meat. Cinnamon bark, as I mentioned, eucalyptus radiata, and rosemary. So we all know that it's a really inviting, spicy, warming fragrance. And when you literally diffuse it into the air, you have what I would call a safety net. You have an impenetrable, how about force field around you? It's an amazing oil, okay? And everything smells really rich and inviting. And it has triggers in your body, so that I call it a superhero oil or a superpower, or my power tool. One of my things that I call thieves is a power tool. Young Living has many power tools right now, and this is one of the mightiest power tools we have. And it truly, it's like one of the superheroes. It's a power tool, okay? And it's a tool for us. And it comes with immense power that very, I don't know anything truly that can take away thieves' power. Not one thing. So it's amazing. It is hot because there are literally cinnamon bark and clove can be hot on the skin. So on tender skin, put it on the bottom of the feet, okay? But I want to talk a little bit about rollerballs and I want to talk about diluting. I want to talk about Gary. Gary was not a fan of diluting oils and rollerballs. I'm going to be very honest with you. He tolerated it because that seemed to be a trend, but he was not a fan of it because he said it diluted the oils too much. And so one of the things that Gary always taught was that you put the oils on knee, and if they get hot or prickly to the touch, you immediately put the carrier oil over top, and it will absolutely then penetrate into the skin. But at the same time, you'll get the full potency, but then you get the protection of the skin with the carrier oil over top. Now, are there exceptions? Yes, like if you have tiny little infants and you have thieves hot oil. But the truth is, I know infants that can put thieves on without an irritation, where other ones, absolutely they're irritated. So you always want to err on the side of caution. That's one of the things. Always, always, always be cautious and respectful of your body and be respectful of especially the hot oils. And this is considered a hot oil. Okay, people say, oh, it's burning. I'm going to go do a course correction there. It is not burning. It is overstimulating your tender tissue, okay? And once you put the carrier oil on, that overstimulation goes away, alrighty? Unless you have a very much toxicity in you. Remember, these are power tools. What do power tools do? Power tools don't mess around. They get in and they get the job done. But remember how I started with frankincense. If you have a lot of toxicity in your body and you bring out these power tools, what's going to happen? That toxicity is going to start jumping out of you like rats off a burned chip. So did these oils cause that, or did the toxins that are already in you cause that? Something to think about. The oils just helped your body because our oils are programmed. They are programmed, literally innately programmed to align with our body's innately programming, which is preserve life. Our bodies are innately programmed to preserve life. Well, guess what? Young living oils are innately programmed to preserve life. And if there is anything in you that is threatening that, guess what? It doesn't have a chance. It doesn't have a chance. It's that simple. So thieves oil, Franco, do you have any supplements with thieves in at all or no? Or do you have the toothpaste or what products do you have with thieves? The cleaner, anything?
Yep. We have home cleaner, we have toothpaste, we have some of the thieves products. We don't have the full line yet, but we're getting there. Laundry, but we still need to get some more in. If you want to make some recommendations of some of your favorites, we'll take note. I'm sure they'll become quite popular and maybe we need to work harder to get them. But we are limited on the line in the market right now.
When you can, Inner Defense is a really good one. When you can. Okay, that's probably the number one.
Noted. Okay.
Yes. So what toothpaste do you have? Which one?
Let me double check. You called me out. I don't remember the one we
had. Who knows?
Burn. I think it's out of stock right now. So it's kind of a, yeah. Moving on, Cherie. Moving on.
Was it the whitening one? Was it the whitening one?
Let me double check. We also do have the mouthwash as well. Let me double.
Oh, you have the mouthwash. Okay, I'll talk about that while you look. Okay. Okay, so the mouthwash. Do you know the mouthwash has colloidal silver in it and thieves oil? Whoa. Do you know the mouthwash was designed to be swallowed? How many other mouthwashes can you safely swallow? And you know the mouthwash is an amazing breath spray. Put it in a little spray bottle and spray it in your mouth. The other thing the mouthwash is really good for, okay? So good to refresh your mask if you want to refresh your mask. The other thing that mouthwash is really good for is to spray in your shopping carts. That's right. So anywhere you go, get a little bottle of the mouthwash and you can even dilute it down and just spray, spray, spray. You have absolutely no worries. Remember, it is a power tool. It is a superhero, all right? And it's got a gang. Thieves Oil has a gang that comes with it. And that gang has wings on it, meaning ain't nothing touching it. All right. It's that powerful. And so the mouthwash is truly amazing. You can take it straight or you can dilute it in water. You can swish and spit out, or you can actually swish and swallow. And it's one of the, and Gary originally did create it to take and swallow. Okay. And it truly is a blessing. There's so many things you can use it for. You can even use it as an athletic spray. So we mentioned earlier that in tender areas, say sometimes you'll get a athletic situation going on, whether it's on the bottom of your feet from showering in the community shower or any other areas, just go ahead and take the mouthwash and put it in the spray bottle, spray it on, and watch what happens. So what toothpaste did we decide? Which one was it? Was it the whitening that was out of stock? Nobody told you yet? Somebody.
Oh, I'm on mute. The whitening is out of stock. The whitening is out of stock.
Was that the one that you had?
We do have that one. We also have the Aroma Bright.
Okay, I want to talk about the whitening, and I'll talk about the Aroma Bright real quick.
Okay, talk a little bit about the whitening, and then tell them it's back in stock soon, and then really get them excited about Aroma Bright.
They're gonna be excited about both.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so here we go. Sorry, y'all. We're how many of you know we're on a road trip right now? Adventure, road trip, detour. Oh, that looks like a fun road to go down. Let's go. Okay, we're on an adventure. All right. And by the way, Gary used to do this all the time. So anyone who's been around, Kai knows, and anyone else who's been around a long time knows that Gary would always do adventures in his presentations. He'd take us on road trips all the time in his presentations, meaning verbally. Okay. And then sometimes physically too. But so let's do the Aroma Bright. How many of you know oil pulling? Okay. It's one of the best things you can do. It's done originally, it's an Ayurvedic technique. It's done with sesame oil. You take a teaspoon of sesame oil or a tablespoon, you put it in your mouth, you have to press your lips tight. You cannot let air in, you have to breathe through your nose, and you just swish back and forth, ideally for 20 minutes. Ideally, that's a long time. Okay, don't even try doing it for less than 10, because that at the 10-minute mark is when you start to get results. The 10 to 20, the longer you can hold out, the better the results are going to be. So Ayurvedic, they talked about sesame oil with sinus issues, allergies, anything at all going on here, okay, sorts of stuff. All right. And so they would do oil pulling with sesame oil. Well, guess what? The Aroma Bright is my favorite thing to do oil pulling with. But start out with a half a teaspoon, because any more and it'll literally be coming out of your mouth. You can't keep it all in because it gets big. So start out with a half a teaspoon of the toothpaste, Aroma Bright. Just Aroma Bright, because it has a coconut oil base. Okay, so just Aroma Bright. Start with a half a teaspoon, put it in your mouth, and breathe through your nose. So make sure you can breathe through your nose through this process, okay? And you leave your lips shut and you just go like that, just back and forth, back and forth. Now this is a clincher. Take a deep breath while it's still, your mouth is shut, over the toilet seat, flush, spit, because it literally, oil pulling pulls airborne bacteria, okay? And so that's what oil pulling does. So you want to have the water circling down the toilet bowl when you spit, so all of it goes right down immediately. Then you take a glass of clean, fresh water, swish, and do it again. Spit, don't have to, you just have to swish your mouth. Then flush the toilet, spit again, okay? And don't swallow until you've already done a full glass of water, because you want to get every bit out. And you do that, and let me tell you, you are going to have a whole new life. How often? I know people who did it every day for a while because of some really, like I talked about that traffic jam up there before, or things going on in their mouth. And so truly, it's a great toothpaste. It's a really nice toothpaste. It's also a toothpaste for people who have a phenol sensitivity, because there's no phenols in it. So some people have a phenolic sensitivity. That's a constituent. So there's no phenols in the Aroma Bright, okay? And so that's a really nice one. but I also love the whitening one. And the reason why I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3 punch. Oh, the Aroma Bright. Okay, I have to tell you about the Aroma Bright. Go back. So it has liposomes. What are liposomes? Now, this is so important, okay? So don't zone out on me here. So here we go. It has liposomes. Liposomes are little tiny capsules, microscopic little pods, tiny little microscopic pods made of lecithin, okay, vitamin B5. So and oils are locked in the liposomes, and they're time released. So literally for 6 hours after you use the Aroma Bright toothpaste, you've got our essential oils microscopically be releasing into your mouth for 6 hours. How many of you knew that? And I know what they're saying is this thing that's flying around the planet. Okay. Can you imagine for 6 hours after you simply brush your teeth, you have our essential oils doing little micro bursts into your mouth of mighty protection? Whoa. Who all knew that? Anybody know that? Franco, you didn't know that?
No, I'm going to be honest. I just got schooled. So that's good. This is why we do this. We learn from each other. We learn every single time. I'm telling you guys, every time I hear from Cherie, mind blown, and I got schooled. So I'm taking notes. Like literally, I've literally gone to the point of like we're in road trip zone. We're in road trip zone. This is fantastic. This is great. Thank you, Cherie.
Okay, good. So let's go to whitening. All right, so yours truly here. I was born into a family genetically with very soft teeth and very, very sensitive gums. And that's just the blessing I got jumping into this family. And so because of that, I've always had issues and real sensitivities, drinking things cold, eating cold things, hot things, just a lot of issues. Well, the whitening toothpaste is designed for people who are like me, who have real sensitive gums, okay? And real fragile teeth. So do you know that the whitening toothpaste is made out of the same mineral that our enamel is made out of? That's right. The whitening, Dr. Mike Book talked about this when it was released at conference. The whitening toothpaste is made out of the same mineral that our enamel is made out of. So guess what? People like me with really like soft teeth with like, like almost like marks in it because the enamel is eroding away. When I went into my dentist, he literally goes, Cherie, what are you doing? You are rebuilding enamel on your teeth. He goes, don't tell me it's those essential oils again. And I go, no, it's our new toothpaste. Okay. So, and it also whitens. It whitens with an enzyme. It is the only toothpaste on the planet that whitens with an enzyme that does not erode the enamel. Do you know every other whitener erodes the enamel? It etches the enamel, and that's how it gets the stains out, but it wears the enamel down. So you get weaker and weaker and weaker teeth, and your gums get more and more and more sensitive. Did you know that we can actually get our teeth brighter while we are remineralizing our enamel? And it has thieves in. And I don't know if I can say it, even though it is, I don't know if I can say it in the Philippines. I know I can say it in the US because it is proven fact, but I don't think I can say it in the Philippines about what the thieves oil has been proven to do. So can I say that in the Philippines?
So what we could just take note, you can just share as a US member, just share what it is, and we'll follow up from a Philippine side. We'll have Dewey reply in the comments, just letting people know what you can or cannot say locally. But yeah, we'll follow up and share.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm working hard to be compliant here.
I know we're road tripping. We're road tripping. Dewey's sweating bullets because we're like we're going strong. But yeah, I think it's good to note, like, guys, everyone, obviously Cherie, it resides in the U.S. She's a U.S. leader. We don't expect her to know everything about local regulatory, but we do expect all of you to, right? You don't have that excuse. So she might share something. Just please make sure that whatever we're sharing out is compliant and aware of local laws. But these are things that our members can hear at our local conventions or out of market. We just need our leaders to be knowledgeable about what we can share. If you have questions, sync with your upline or with the conduct team. We'll make sure to give you everything you need to know. So go ahead, Cherie. That's your disclaimer. You can share what you know, and then we'll validate what we can share locally.
Okay, thank you, because I promised Dewey I would stay in integrity really good. I'm trying to walk that line. Okay, so Thieves oil has been proven to literally eradicate the bacteria that causes cavities. Yes, proven. Okay, pretty powerful, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
literally, I think you just might have out of stocked Aroma Bright as well for us. So we're working on it, guys. We're working on it. So no, this is great, really great. Honestly, you've converted me. So honestly, I'm gonna have to try the whitening. I didn't know. I'm gonna have to get on that. So thank you. Love it. Keep going.
You're welcome. You're welcome, honey. Okay, so do we feel good about thieves? We all good about thieves? Great. Okay, let's rock and roll, everyone. Oh, transformation. Okay. All right, where's my transformation oil? Here we go. All right, now this isn't fair because you're asking me to do it on transformation. And do you know I did an hour and a half training on transformation oil at Gold Retreat. And you're asking me to do it now. I'm like, Dewey gave me this list and I'm like, seriously? She wants this done in an hour? Does she have any clue?
Well, you know what's funny is I was asked, actually, you can blame me. I was asked, because Dewey said, hey, Cherie's also wondering if maybe we could touch on a couple of blends. And I said, well, these are some of my favorite blends. What's funny is I was thinking we would pick one or two, but I love that we're getting into all of the ones that I mentioned. So you're nailing it. These are like my top transformation. Wow. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about transformation.
Okay, so before I start, I want to know what you like about it. Come on, throw it at us.
So for me, honestly, I think whenever I smell transformation, for some reason, I always get like this, I think it's the cardamom Palo Santo, for some reason stands out really strong to me. Transformation in terms of how I've been using it, I actually didn't watch anything from Gary on this one. So this is kind of like self-administered. So that's why I'm really looking forward to hear what you have to share, Cherie. But what I've used transformation for is a lot of goal setting. So whenever we sit on one-on-ones, whenever we do any of the meetings where we're going to go and set some goals, my thought, what we've used transformation for is to set this goal and really transform the thinking, transform the emotions that have held me back, and move forward in becoming that, transforming into what we want for this future goal. So I've been using it that way. That's why I love it. Whenever I smell transformation, I actually can't smell it every single day, to be honest. I love the smell, but it's one of the, just like Palo Santo. I love Palo Santo, but every day I can't do it. But when I need it, I pull to it, and it's so comforting, and I use it in that nature. So anyway, that's my personal story on transformation. One of my faves, though.
It's powerful. So transformation, Gary actually created because there was a conference. Every year we have conference. There is a essential oil blend named the name of the conference. Transformation was 1 year, and Gary created this blend, and we all fell in love with it and begged them to put as part of our regular able to order on a daily basis oil. So Gary, I'll tell you quick, it was 20, what year was it? 2015, 2016, 2015, or maybe 2014. I don't even remember. Anyways, 2014 maybe. Gary was Gold Club when Gold Retreat, when they had just moved it to St. Mary's. And Gary all of a sudden got a phone call. It was the year he was building Fort Nelson, the distillery up there for the spruce oil, the black spruce. And so Gary was supposed to be teaching all afternoon in front of like several hundred of the golds. And Gary literally got a phone call that said, your part is in, and if you don't come and get it within so many hours up in Canada, then you won't have it for 2 weeks because the guy's going on vacation. So Gary literally told Mark, we got to go now. And I was in the kitchen cleaning up from cooking the lunch. And Gary comes in, he goes, Cherie, afternoon's yours. I go, what do you mean the afternoon's mine? He goes, go teach. I'm like, what? He goes, go teach. I got to go. I'm like, seriously? So I don't know if anybody that's listening was there, but yes. So I kind of took a pulse of the room. It was a giant number of tents, and we're all there, and we started talking about transformation. And so I'm going to go over each oil very quickly. Lemon. Okay, lemon is crisp, it's clear, and it's all helps us to really dial in. Okay, just think about the crisp, clear, bam, gets your attention. Lemon. Okay, peppermint. We all know that's literally a mental energizer. Royal Hawaiian sandalwood, that works with the limbic system in the brain, and so that helps us to access deep inner wisdom. Deep inner wisdom. Clary sage. That's actually my IT guy forgot the sage. So clary sage. Clary sage, the name comes from the Native Americans. The Lakota named it. It means clear vision or clear sight. That's what it means translated. It also gets grown in southern France too, okay? But clary sage, clear vision or clear sight. So do you mean sight as I can see better or vision as in vision quest? My answer would be yes, okay? It's all about having a clear laser focused vision. Sacred frankincense. Sacred frankincense is an amazing oil because sacred frankincense has the ability, literally, upon inhalation. Dr. Paul Shealy and I did extensive research on this oil. In 2010, those of you who don't know Gary spent over 20 years working with the Omani government. Do you know the Boswellia sacra, sacred frankincense, was never allowed out of the country since the birth of Jesus Christ? Never allowed out of the country, that oil. Gary spent over 20 years building a relationship with the royal family of Oman. Finally, and then in connecting with Dr. Mahmoud Suhail, continuing to deepen the relationship and create respect and honor. First time ever in over 2,000 years, they released 2 liters of Boswellia sacra, sacred frankincense, out of Oman. 1 liter was sent to Young Living, the lab for Mark and Gary, and then Gary commissioned the 2nd liter to be sent to me, so that Dr. Paul Shealy and I could do extensive research on the brain with sacred frankincense, Boswellia sacra. And I'd love to be able to do a full disclosure on what we discovered in that research study. But one of the cool things about it is what we noted is instantaneously upon inhalation, the noise in the brain shifted. The noise in the brain shifted. And I don't know if stress is considered a medical word in the Philippines or not. Okay. So that one you're going to have to work with compliance on, y'all. But what it did immediately upon inhalation, it shifted the brainwave patterns just by inhaling or topical application. It didn't matter, okay? From a very, very loud speaking, noisy, distracted brainwave pattern to a calm brainwave pattern. And continuing to inhale it, it shifted to creative problem solving. So there was a brainwave pattern that showed up by just inhaling it. The longer you inhaled it, it literally, those molecules work with us in such a way because, let's see, how do I comply? Created an environment of optimal brain function. How's that? Good. Okay, Idaho blue spruce. Well, we all know Idaho blue spruce is a sacred tree of the Lakota, the North American Native Americans. And do you know that the Native Americans used to chew during the Depression? They used to chew the needles of the blue spruce oil to get enough vitamin C so they didn't get scurvy during the Depression. I bet you didn't know that. Okay, and that's the needles. So the blue spruce oil is one of the most powerful oils to really help energetically, to help the brain feel very level on an energetic level, okay? Now, I want to talk a little bit about cardamom. There's a couple oils that have cardamom in. Clarity is one, transformation is another. Those are our 2 blends. One of the things, and you notice they both help work with what part of us, okay? The brain. One of the things, if you get a headache, this is what Gary noted in his research in the clinic. If you get a headache when you're using any blends or the single oil of cardamom, that is a clear indication that you have heavy metals in your brain, okay? So that's a fun fact. And then, so cardamom is cardamom and ocotea are 2 of the most powerful aspects to help us with how we can think better. And that's the best way I can say it and stay compliant. Let's go to Palo Santo. Palo Santo is the South American frankincense. Okay, that's the frankincense of South America. There's a lot of commonalities. The shamans use a lot of Palo Santo for clearing and for what people would call vision casting. So Franco was pretty much right on, and he said how he used this oil. So I'd like you, remember how we used that, started with release oil? Franco, you've got some pretty oils here you picked, my friend. So
I've been well trained by the leaders. You guys trained me well, or training me well. No, these are great, but you've added a lot to them. Thank you. Everyone's still mind blown. So just want to share with you, we're now at 890 comments. So people are loving it. It's just really good. Thank you.
Okay, good. I hope it's helpful. So say you have something that you know it's time to shift, to transform, to release and lift up, to up level. Say that you've been stuck. Say that you just, whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, a financial situation, an emotional situation, a job situation, okay? Whatever it is that you're stuck at a lower level, and everything in you is calling and pushing you forward to say, this is where we're at, and I'm frustrated because this is where I know I belong, and it's not happening fast enough. It's not. And I don't know how to get from here, my stuck space, to here, where I know it's where I belong, because I can feel it in me. I can feel it calling to me. I can feel it pulling me in that direction. I can feel it. I just don't know how to get from here to here. Okay? Start using transformation oil. Put it on your heart. Put it on your adrenal glands. Put it on the bottom of your feet. Inhale it. Put it right here. Put it on the top of your head. This is one of the best oils to put on the top of your head and under your big toe. Okay? And again, if you feel like your just whole body, you're just stuck and you're like stuck in this icky, funky place, throw it in your belly button. Just if in doubt, throw the oils in your belly button. It's that simple. Just do that. Okay, you're good. And so what you want to do then is put it on you. You've got to have some in your hands, okay? So then cup. And I want you to put yourself and allow the frustration that's in you to change into motivation. Frustration is motivation that is being held down. That's all it is. Frustration is that you are highly motivated to have something different in your life, but there's something, whether it's a belief, a circumstance, whatever, that's holding you down, that's pushing you down. So allow the transformation oil by breathing it in to take the cap off. But you have to be mindful. That's why Gary put these focusing oils in here. You have to focus it, because you cannot just let energy like that go boom all over. You'll have a mess. You'll be all over the place and scattered. Not going to get you where you choose to go. So what you want to do literally is when that cap comes off, you have a clear plan. So you hold in your vision, you hold it in your vision, you feel it in every cell in your being. You hold it there. And if you can run the diffuser, run this in the diffuser. Like if I've got a whole bunch of like crazy problems coming in emails and on the phone, guess what oil I put in the diffuser? Transformation. This oil goes in the diffuser because I'm like, you know what? I got to transform this energy. I cannot have a whole day like this. This is not going to work. Or if I wake up after having some pretty tough dreams at night, all right, this is the first oil I put on the bottom of my feet. Transformation. Because I'm like, okay, how I'm feeling is not going to serve me to get me where I need to go today and get me the things done at the level I know is going to serve me and everyone else. I can't stay down here in this icky, mucky, stuck up space. I will pull transformation out. I mean, I don't even have my jammies off, y'all. I put transformation on the bottom of my feet, and I'm like, okay, we got to shift this. I am the captain of my ship. I determine how it's going to go. Now, can I determine what comes at me? No. But can I determine issues other people do because they're not thinking real straight, because they really need like clarity oil and a few other things that they didn't put on that day and it comes at me? No, I can't control that. But I can control how I respond. I can control how I transform the energy. I can control the outcome that I choose to have with what is at hand. This oil, transformation oil, helps you to redirect energy that is coming at you. Okay. Y'all are in that whole part of the world where martial arts are just so prominent. Well, what does Tai Chi do? Tai Chi doesn't push against. Tai Chi takes it, moves it, and then redirects it, right? That's what Tai Chi does. It redirects it. Okay? That's what this is. This is like Tai Chi in a bottle, y'all. Okay? It's the best way for me to describe it that you understand it. Transformation. Yeah, does that help you? Does that help everybody? Does everybody get that, Franco?
Yeah, no, this one's great, and actually, I'm so happy you shared like the individual thoughts behind each oil, which I know Gary has always done whenever he shares. And it's so fantastic because, again, to a newbie, I might look at this and I'm just like, oh, okay, that sounds nice. Oh, Palo Santo, Royal Hawaiian, those are expensive. Sacred frankincense, that must be nice. But to hear the thinking behind each one of them and to really talk about the shift and being the captain of your own ship into the next, and that you and kind of the scenarios where you apply transformation. Love the comments that we're seeing here, Cherie, on this one. No questions that have come up. Sorry, guys, if you are getting questions, let me know. But what I'm getting is just a lot of thank yous and appreciation. So, and we love the Tai Chi in a bottle. That might be a new hashtag, just so you know. I think you just made a new hashtag. So
Okay.
go ahead, Cherie. It's all you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, Valor. Oh boy. I hadn't even gotten to all the other stuff yet. Jeepers, Franco.
That's
Okay,
right.
so
We are in time warp mode. Okay, there is no time. Just ignore the time. These are not the droids you're looking for, Cherie. There is no time.
okay. All right. Okay, Valor. Okay, y'all. So Valor. You know how Gary created Valor? Does anybody know? I'll tell you. So Gary had his clinic in Mexico. And Gary is let me tell you, Gary has saved my life at least 4 times, and I'm not exaggerating. 4 times my body, medical doctors said my body needs to, it's checking out. And 4 times Gary and his knowledge and with the help of the other medical doctors that he worked with kept me here. And not only didn't let my body lay itself down, but he got me thriving. Okay. I went from death, from survival to thriving. And so there is, there, and I believe that was a divine appointment. That is not something that was humanly directed. I can tell you that. There's just too many things that Gary did. And before we end, I want to share one story so people can really understand who Gary is. Because I had the benefit of experiencing that in a way that not very many people have. So Valor Oil. Gary had his clinic in Mexico. Okay, it was in Mexico, all legal, but for somehow the IRS decided that some IRS prosecutor person decided that investigate that what he was doing, he needed to pay taxes on. Gary paid taxes on what he needed to pay taxes on, but he didn't have to pay taxes on stuff he didn't need to, okay, in the US. And so Gary literally was not doing well with his whole IRS. He was actually brought to court with it. And so a few weeks before, Gary was in prayer and meditation, and an inspiration came to him, which is the spruce, camphor wood, which used to be rosewood, by the way, blue tansy, frankincense, and geranium. So they changed out the rosewood with camphor wood and geranium. So the original formula was spruce, blue tansy, frankincense, and rosewood. But camphor wood and geranium together have almost an identical constituent, which gives a very, very, very close, almost undiscernible twin exactness to Valor Oil. So Gary was given this formula, an inspiration, and he wore it. He wore it on the bottom of his feet. He wore it on the back of his neck, his low back. He would smell it. He'd rub it in his beard, on his chest. He wore it all the time. And until he created Highest potential, this was the oil he wore every single day. Once he created highest potential, then he wore that every day, and sacred frankincense every day. But this was the oil he wore. He did not miss one day with valor. Gary always had valor in his pocket. So he wore it. He went into the trial. He was found not guilty on all counts and owed nothing to the IRS by the tax court. So he literally said it kept him focused, it kept him level, it kept him energetically where his adrenals didn't push him into a not good situation. It kept him supported, it kept him feeling confident, it kept him feeling courageous, it kept him feeling level and stable. And so once Gary really got into oils, he said, let's start with valor. Let's start with valor. Now, I want to talk about the energy, because in the Philippines, can we talk about the energy in the oils compliantly? Is that okay without, I'm just going to talk energy. Can I do that without?
Yeah. As far as I know, that's not a challenge. Nope. Yep.
Okay, Dewey, if it is, you got to let us know, sweetheart. So, because I want to keep my word to her. Okay, so in the Philippines, do y'all have circuit breakers in your homes, or do you have fuses? Does anybody have fuses, or do y'all have circuit breakers? Okay, because I grew up in a house with fuses. My house was built, the house I was raised in, actually both of them were built 100 years ago. And so there were fuses. And actually my one grandma's house, they didn't even have electricity on the farm. Okay. So, and they didn't even have indoor water. We had to go out to the pump. All right. And we had an outhouse. So that's kind of how I spent my childhood, working on the farm and living like that. But one of the cool things is that when we, in the house I grew up in the city, when we had the toaster and the clothes dryer, and then we decided to iron, or somebody decided to, like, my sister upstairs would like blow dry her hair, poop, a fuse would pop. And all whatever outlets that were connected to that circuit would not work. Now for circuit breakers, I'll give you an example. Right now, the house I'm in right now, it was in just, plugged in. There were normal things plugged in along that line, and a refrigerator was plugged in. Well, in the same line, which we didn't even know, the dehumidifier got plugged in because it started to get humid. And guess what? Everything completely stopped working that was on that line once that dehumidifier got plugged in, because the circuit popped. Pop. And that's what happens to us. Sometimes, because we have what are called meridians in our body. And actually the Mayo Clinic in the US acknowledges them. They are pathways or highways, superhighways of literally electricity and communication running through our body. Meridians, and I'm oversimplifying. And if you have something, you can pop a circuit. And if you have your heart meridian go down, you're in big trouble. So what does our body do? Our body is programmed in such a way that the rest of our communication, our meridians, lend the communication to that meridian, which is damaged or weakened or has been insulted in a way, so that we don't die. It's our self-preservation mechanism. But in doing so, it weakens the whole body system. So Valor oil, electrically, energetically, when you put it on, literally goes in, and it's like changing the fuses or resetting your circuit breakers so that you can feel stable. And what can pop us? Well, getting caught in traffic, getting a painful phone call, having an emotional incident, smelling a toxic chemical, smelling a strong chemical, not enough sleep, crying, an illness, an injury. So many things can pop our circuits or pop our fuses. And that's why Gary said every day start with valor. And that's why part of Gary's Great Day Protocol is start with valor. Start with valor. You always start with valor so that you have, from an energetic standpoint, an electrical standpoint, you have the whole body open and everything is flowing and in proper communication. So how many knew that about Valor?
It's so, I think not a lot. So many people are commenting now, Cherie, and just the idea of circuit breaker is actually new for me as well. Definitely approached it from a different angle, how I thought about Valor. So this is great, honestly, and I want to try that. Luckily, I have 3 bottles of Valor here, but so I like the idea of really starting off with clearing that energy, resetting that so that I'm not having any blockages, because we all carry stuff, right? From each day, from each moment, something pops in your head, and just being able to reset that's powerful. So I really appreciate you sharing that. We got a lot of people here who are reinforcing. Just so you know, I think in the Philippines, everyone is now claiming Gary is their hero because he won the tax battle. I know in the Philippines, tax is a very sensitive topic, so everyone's like, "Yeah, woo!" So we might have just created a lot of a lot of support for that. So no, great sharing, Cherie.
Okay, so are we ready to move on? Let's go.
Yeah, there actually is a question
Go ahead.
white. Yeah, white on this is
Oh,
literally my favorite oil. Okay, so that's awesome. That's awesome. So the question is, because it has camphor wood, the
yes,
question is, those who are told to avoid camphor, is camphor wood itself okay?
yes,
Yes, okay.
yes. There's a difference between camphor wood, which is the wood, the tree trunk, and then the plant, okay, because the plant. So camphor can be caustic on tender tissue, okay? Can be caustic on tender tissue. But okay, so let's talk about, let's talk, I'm going to do a segue to give you an analogy real quick. And this isn't a detour, this is this is a rest stop. We're pulling into the rest stop. We're not detouring. Here we go. So, you know how people say, I'm on a statin, so I can't do grapefruit, right? They can't eat grapefruit, drink grapefruit juice because they're on a statin medication. They're on a certain medication that they can't do eat grapefruit or drink grapefruit juice. But they can use grapefruit oil because it's from the rind, not the meat. So it has completely different chemistry. Okay. The camphor wood has a completely different chemistry. So the camphor wood is perfectly okay, and it is not caustic to tender tissue. That help?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Cherie. And
Okay.
you teased us with white angelica, so here we go.
You picked them. You didn't know these were all coming?
No, I did. I'm surprised. Like we're actually messaging back and forth. I'm like, what's the next oil? And then I've learned so much about everything. I'm like, I wonder what we can say about thyme oil. What can we say about white? And now that you have white angelica, I'm like, ugh. So I love it. Don't tell me what's next. This is great.
Okay. You picked, okay. I thought Dewey picked these. So now that I know you picked them, I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? You picked them.
I'm along for the ride, Cherie.
Okay. So Dewey and the rest of the corporate staff is going to go, we are never allowing Cherie and Franco on a Zoom again together.
That's dangerous. I'm telling you right now, we're in danger zone. Because when you say road trip, I'm just like, all right, I got my water, got my tunes, my shoes are off, my feet are out the window. Let's cruise, girl.
No way, you drive like that too?
Yep.
No. Oh my God, no.
We're road trip pals. We're road trip pals. I'm telling you right now.
Oh my gosh, seriously? I thought I was the only one. People are like, Cherie, put your foot in. I'm like, no, it's too comfortable and feels good.
I love the feeling of wind between my toes.
Yes.
When do you get that? When do you get that feeling? You know?
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Okay. All right. Back on track. Enough for the commercial. Okay, here we go. So white angelica. So bergamot, myrrh, geranium, sacred sandalwood. Now sacred sandalwood comes from Australia. Okay. But I'm going to let me finish and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about sandalwood really quick. Ylang ylang, coriander, black spruce, melissa, hyssop, and rose. Okay. So these are very powerful oils. Okay, so bergamot, I'm just going to whip through them really fast. Bergamot is all about, remember I talked about that really busy, erratic brain? Bergamot's like a warm hug for a busy, erratic brain. Okay, myrrh oil. Myrrh oil is very nurturing. Myrrh, they say lavender oil is the mother of all oils, but no, and truthfully, myrrh oil carries the essence and the energy of the divine mother. Okay, I hope that's okay with you, all the wording. All right, now geranium. Geranium is very amazing because it's very gentle on the skin. But one thing y'all don't know about geranium, it's almost equal to thieves in the power tool category. That's geranium. Okay, the geraniol content, where geranium gets its name, is so high that it's like thieves' partner in crime in the power tool department. All right, I'm going to save sacred sandalwood for last. Ylang ylang. Ylang ylang. Just think about yin and yang, balancing yin and yang, balancing, helping the brain. So it's like helping both hemispheres of the brain to talk to each other and be in harmony and listen to each other. It's like the best communication coach for both hemispheres of the brain. That's ylang ylang. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, now coriander. Coriander is all about creating optimal chemistry in our body, as far as biological chemistry. Now, black spruce carries the highest frequency of all the oils. Gary typed it over 520 megahertz. Rose is 320. Blue spruce is coming in around 480, and then black spruce comes in around 520. Meaning it's a very, because it's a tree, it's a very grounding oil. Okay, it's very grounding oil. It's very good when you look at our oil, when you look at the plant, look at the trunk of the tree. You take a look at it and you see, well, what part of our body looks like a trunk of a tree? Then you look at the branches of the tree and the whole canopy of the tree. And then you say, well, what part of our body looks like that? And that gives you an idea of how the oils support us in many ways. All right. And then, of course, Gary always said the spruce trees, the tall spruce trees, and the black spruce is the tallest of them all. The tall spruce trees are like the antenna of getting the communication. And this is what the Native Americans taught Gary, Wallace Black Elk, okay, Native American Lakota medicine man, right? He said the trees, the tall spruce trees, they are like antennas to the heavens, where they bring in the messages from heaven into earth. Okay. And then we have Melissa. Melissa is one of the most powerful oils we have on the planet. It's one of the most powerful substances we have on the planet, but it is also very fragile and very delicate. And Melissa comes with a powerful mission. And her mission is all about preservation and restoration. Now, hyssop, let's go to the Christian Bible. There is a scripture that says, purge me with hyssop. I'm paraphrasing. Purge me with hyssop, and I will be whiter than snow. Hyssop is the hyssop berries and the branches of the bush are what the Israelites took and dipped in the lamb's blood and painted the mantles to prevent the plague that Pharaoh had literally put, the Pharaoh of Egypt had put upon the Israelites, because he wanted them to stay, and Moses was given the commission for them to leave. So he put this plague to come in, that the firstborn would be killed in every family. Okay, so to prevent that, this is what the Christian Bible says. They took hyssop branches, dipped it in lamb's blood, and beat the mantles with it. Okay, purge me with hyssop, and I will be whiter than snow. So that had to do with the evil spirit of death that passed over. That's where the word Passover for the Jewish traditions. And then rose. Rose is one of the most potent. It is one of the most expensive oils. Okay, blue lotus is even more expensive than rose, and white lotus is more expensive. But rose oil is an oil that one drop sometimes is even too much. Sometimes you just have to smell it. Just smell it. Sometimes you just undo the cap and just smell the cap because it's so potent. Rose oil originally, until we got into some of the other oils, was the very highest frequency. Rose oil is phenomenal for the skin. It's one of the most amazing oils you could put on your skin. The most beautiful women in Egypt would do jasmine and rose water. Jasmine and rose water, and that's what they sprayed on their skin and in Egyptian times and in times of Alexandria, and then they would bathe in it. And the Egyptian women were considered to have the most beautiful skin in the world. Okay, and so rose, but rose is also called the oil of the heart. Rose is called the oil of the heart. Okay, the emotional heart, to be succinct. So let's talk about white angelica. Do you know how it got created? Gary was up clearing trees in St. Mary's, our very first farm, and he was by himself. And it's a tough job clearing trees, and he was clearing trees, and he got really tired. So he went up on a hill and he sat down to drink some water, okay? And he leaned back on a tree and he fell asleep, and he had a dream. He had a dream. And in his dream, an angel came to him in his dream. Gary tells it way better than I do because he was there. I just am repeating what Gary said. And an angel came to him. And the angel gave him this formula and said, you will need this because your work in the world will threaten many. So you will need this to protect yourself. And the angel was beautiful and a bright, glistening white. And then the angel told Gary where to put it on himself to do a ritual to center himself. So that's how this blend came about. So many of us, so he immediately, when he woke up, Gary, for those of you who know Gary, he always carried a little notebook in his upper left corner of his pocket, his shirt, and he carried a little pen, and he had a little notebook. His notebooks were about this big, and they flip over like this, and he would constantly be writing things down. And so he carried a pen and a notebook. He woke up, and he immediately wrote it down. And so this is the benefit of it. We call it our spiritual suit of armor. We call it, what does that mean in today's world? Today's world, do any of you, when you walk into a room and you're like, what happened in here? It feels like creepy, or like there was an argument or something happened in here. And there's no one in there, but you can feel something. Or you stand in line at a market or a store, and all of a sudden you just start to feel like you've been slimed, or just like, something doesn't feel right. Okay? Or you have to go into a situation where there's confrontation, and you really don't, and you're feeling way too vulnerable to handle what's at hand. Okay? That's where you would use white angelica. So do you want to know where Gary was instructed to put it? No? Do they want to know?
They want to know. Tell us.
Okay. So this is what now. First of all, I'm going to do a disclaimer. Do you have to do this? No, you do not. I know people who diffuse it. I know people who put one drop in their hand, go like this, and they're done. I mean, that fast, like the blur, okay? Some people just put it on. Everybody has their own personal experience with white angelica. Everybody. This is one of my old original little bottles that I keep with me when I travel. This was actually given to me directly from Gary. Okay, so this is what Gary said. He was instructed to do a centering ritual, especially when you're feeling really vulnerable or exposed or fragile. And I don't know if anybody can relate, or if I'm the only one that has those times in my life where I'm feeling really vulnerable and almost like fragile. And it's like, you know what, I don't really want to be around people today, but my responsibilities tell me I have to. And so I need to keep my word. And so what Gary said was, take your hand you don't write with, okay? Take your hand you don't write with. And you open it up and you drop 7 drops of white angelica, 7 drops, okay? Drop 7 drops. Then you take your other hand with your fingertips, and you circle it clockwise 3 times. 2, 3. And then he said, this is what you do. You put it on your forehead, circle 3 times clockwise. Okay, back, grab it again. Your throat, clockwise. Okay, your chest, clockwise. and then your shoulders. And then he said, just go right behind your neck. Like that. Like that. That's it. Oh, my battery's running low. Oh my gosh, we've been talking so long. I have to go. I have to go get. I have to go get my cord. Okay, and then Gary said, just do like the mudra, okay, like the centering mudra of hands over heart, and just close your eyes, breathe, and feel. That's what he said. Now, do you have to do that to make White Angelica your spiritual suit of armor? No. What he said was, but just get it on you. What he said literally was, things of a lower nature will not penetrate in. And when you are having a particularly off day, that will keep you from spewing that out on other people as well. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, y'all. I need to go get my cord because we have been talking so long. My extra strength battery has disappeared. So don't go anywhere. Oh my God.
I mean, we got all the time in the world, right, everybody? Actually, I know I'm missing a meeting right now. Everyone's texting me, telling me to hurry. But guys, I mean, really, the sharing that we're getting is super unique. So that's why we're letting the time keep going. If you guys want Cherie to come to the Philippines sometime, why don't you say something? Just put some hearts. Maybe we can fly her out here sometime. What do you guys think? Let's see some reactions here. I think we have to bring Cherie to the Philippines after all of this travel sense is up. What do you guys say? Sleepover, road trips. There's a lot of roads, Cherie, in the Philippines. A lot of roads.
But then Kai's gonna go, okay, well, if you get her in the Philippines, we get her in Singapore.
Listen, we'll bring Kai to the Philippines as well. It's no problem. No problem. Lydia will be fine with that. No problem. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. Now we're getting come to Asia, Singapore, Asia, Singapore. Here we go. It's on now. It's on now. Okay, we'll talk. It's definitely on. They're excited. Oh, what about Malaysia? People are asking. So, did you get your cord plugged in there? Okay.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Back to you.
Okay, we ready to rock?
Yep.
So, do they have any questions about White Angelica?
I didn't see any. It's getting hard to keep track of the questions. We have like 1,100 and some comments. So just keep them coming, guys. We're good. We're feet out the car at this point. So if I see your question, we'll get to it. If not, we'll follow up later. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we get to move on. So we're done with oils, okay? We're done with oils. Other than, I know they wanted me to talk about Thyme, but being compliant is really hard for me about Thyme because I know too much what it can do.
Yes,
I know what it can do, y'all.
Let's go there. Let's get in there. It is funny because there was one comment. She goes, "We haven't even talked about Thyme," and I go, "There is no time." But wait, you mean Thyme to oil, or it's ironic, right? But yeah. Of course.
So, all I can I'm going to say this: there is extensive research on how Thyme is one of the most preserving oils for our being. Extensive. And, you know, I can tell you there are a lot of oils I do not like the smell of. I'm going to be straight, totally honest with you. There's oils I do not, including joy oil, by the way. People are going, what? That's my perfume. It has, sometime when I talk about joy, we'll share the story about joy and you're going to go, whoa. Okay. It's one of those up at the top of the list stories. So, but I don't like the smell, but I can tell you, I love how they work. I love how they work. And this body is here today because of how these oils work. Otherwise I wouldn't be here. And it's not an exaggeration. And so I can truly tell you that please do not be caught up in the smell. And please also don't be caught up because this bottle of peppermint smells like this and this bottle of peppermint didn't. Y'all, nature is different. Do you know that our plants need to change every season? There are over 800 chemicals introduced, toxic chemicals introduced into the world more. 800 constantly, yearly. Because of that, our plants need to stay above them. So the innate intelligence in the plants, it's called the survival of the fittest, change their immune system. They change their molecular structure so that they can survive, and not only survive, they can thrive no matter what people who are not conscious of honoring our planet, they do, okay? Until we wake up and start to be more conscious. So our plants, it's like, can man outthink Mother Nature? Good luck with that. Just try and stand in the tornado and tell it to stop. No, ain't happening. Stand in the tsunami and go, okay, stop. No, not happening. Okay, you bring your best scientific equipment out to a tsunami and it will pounce it every day. All right? So nature is a force that is so powerful because it is God-driven. Our plants are innately programmed to thrive. And that's the gift they give us on so many levels. And so please don't get hung up because this smells different than this. All right? Don't. It should. If it doesn't over years, you know you got a synthetic formula. If it smells the same year after year after year after year, you've got a synthetic formula, bottom line. Because nothing in nature smells the same. Even the same rose plant. You can have a rose plant, smell the roses. The next year, those roses will smell different from the same plant. Okay? So please don't get hung up on the smells. Just don't get hung up on the smells, y'all. There's so many oils that, oh my gosh, the smell is like, you've got to be flipping kidding me. But yet when I study them, or when I have studied them and I learn what they do, I'm like, I love you so much. You stink, but I love you. All right.
Cherie, you say such a great point, and I know we're going to run out of time for time, but I think part of it, is that's a lot of the feedback that we've gotten about thyme, is like, people are like, well, I'm new and I don't really like the smell, and so it's interesting you're saying that, because there's other oils as well that I think the smell doesn't, I'm not super attracted to the smell. But then we have to remember and not get caught up that it's not a perfume, right? If you're using it as a perfume, maybe I wouldn't reach for thyme, or maybe I wouldn't reach for a couple others. But when you look at what it can be used for, like, I actually was kind of shocked as well, and knowing, like you said, some of the non-compliant side of thyme, I'm just like, whoa, like, it blows your mind. So I don't know, maybe, I know it looks like we want to talk about wolfberries, which I know is going to be fascinating. So but can you give some thoughts for people about how to overcome or get past that smell part, if that's something that's holding them back?
So I know you don't have the plus or the vitality yet, so I can't talk that. But I know in the US, that's my preference, because, okay, thyme is the #1 oil and clove in longevity blend. You don't have longevity blend, but it's one of the best sellers. And I want you to think about, remember I started out very beginning intentionally with, I value your time because it is the only thing that we all have the exact same amount of, and it's the only thing we cannot get more of. Do you know that in the world, every single being has the exact same amount of time, and it's the only thing in our existence that we all have the exact same amount of. And it's the only thing that we can't get more of. And so when you think about that, there's a saying that thyme oil gives us more time. There's a lot of truth to that. Thyme oil gives us more time. And there's a reason why Gary and Mark put it as one of the top 2 oils in the blend longevity. Okay? And now I would be very grateful to Young Living, being where we find ourselves in our current situation. I would be grateful to Young Living that thyme is coming at you, to be honest. Okay. And so the smell. Do you have myrrh oil there?
I don't. Do we have myrrh in the Philippines? Somebody check. Remember, I've only been here for 3 months, so I'm not. Yeah, we do. Okay, sounds like we
Oh,
do.
you
Have
do?
myrrh. We do have
You
myrrh.
really have myrrh? Oh my gosh.
I'm
Okay.
hearing we got myrrh.
Okay. All right. So in person, I'll share with you even more stories, but I just kind of set myself up, didn't I? Shoot. Franco, I just set myself up. Okay. So you did this. Dang. How did you do that? You like, oh, you Spock-minded me. Okay.
Live long and prosper.
Oh, okay. So, Jeepers Creepers, I just kind of like slipped right into that one, didn't I? All right. So, myrrh oil. And I can't tell you how I know this, but it's true. And when I see you in person, I'll tell you how I know it because I already stepped into that one. When you put myrrh oil over top of any other oil, it dissipates the smell of the other oils. Also, and then you can put whatever oil you want on over top of that for your lingering smell. But here's the other thing I want to tell you. Your thinner oils, you always put your thinner oils on first, except for Valor, because Valor's your circuit opener, okay? Valor's your, let's get the traffic jam, untraffic jam, let's get all the gates open, let's get things flowing. That's Valor. You'll always start with your thinner oils. You put your thinner oils on first. Okay, then you follow up and end with your thicker oils. Okay, even if you're going to use peppermint as your driver, which is at the end, you would put myrrh or sandalwood or one of your thicker oils on after peppermint. You always put that on after because it's how they work with our cells. And it's for optimal results and long-lasting results in our cells. So it's for optimal results, immediate results, and long-lasting results in our cells. Okay, good. I hope everybody's got that. Great. Okay, did I do okay with time for you? Are we good? All right, good. All right, my computer's not blinking at me, so I must have plugged it into the right outlet. Okay. Here we go. All righty, because you know that thing that I said that blew the circuit? Well, I still haven't figured out how to get all the outlets working yet because I have no idea where they're all plugged in. So I was hoping if you lose me, you know I didn't plug it into the right outlet, but I think I did. Okay, no. There we go. I shouldn't have probably used that example, huh? Should I? Because now it's real life in motion.
Now it's gonna, yep, it brought it out. You sure did.
All right, so here we go. So yes, these are our beloved wolfberries. This is our beloved Ningxia wolfberries. And these little gems are so amazing. And now do we have Ningxia red in the Philippines? We have Ningxia red now? Okay, good. So I can talk, and I can talk nutrition, right? And be compliant. I can talk nutrition and be compliant. Yes. Okay. You ready? Let's go to work.
Go Ningxia berries. Let's do it. Let's see. Wolfberries. Let's go crazy.
Okay, so here we go. So of course, this is right off the label. These are the supplement facts off the label. Okay, 40 milligrams, and this is per ounce, 40 milligrams of calcium, tiny bit of iron, okay, a little bit of sodium, but don't freak out about the sodium because the sodium isn't the kind of sodium that causes your legs to swell up and cause you to have issues. Okay, and the sugars, now it says sugars, but I want you to see it is fructose, not glucose. So this sugar is actually the healthier sugar. It's the glucose, not the fructose, okay? So it's very, very important that you understand this. Plus it shows all the other nutrients in it. So let's go. So 1 ounce of the Ningxia red is equal to, are you right, ready? In nutrition, 34 onions, 100 oranges, 814 blueberries, 22 medium-sized carrots, almost 11 pounds of spinach, about 55.5 pounds of almonds, 59 broccoli florets, 73 strawberries, 93 apples, and let's just throw in 130 tomatoes just for fun. All right. So it literally has 93% D-limonene. And I would love for you to, for some reason, I just got the hiccups, y'all. I need to get a little bit of water. For the limonene has been studied in numerous medical studies for its amazing beneficial effects on our immunity. Like Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay. And then I'm going to get into more of what it says. So here we go. You ready? This has extremely high levels of antioxidants. Okay. So this is the antioxidant levels that you see. Ningxia Red has the highest level of antioxidants of all on any foods. Okay. It has literally 30,000 per gram of antioxidant ability. And that's SOD, superoxide dismutase. So this is what it has in it. Are you ready? All right. And by the way, it is 51% berries. That's right. Did you know that Ningxia Red is 51% wolfberry? 51% over the top. So this is exactly what you see. So you can read this. Plus, it has our essential oils of orange, lemon, tangerine, and yuzu, which yuzu is so delicious. Okay, it has it literally has the 2 ounces has 100% of all of. I don't need to read it, but you can see it. It has 100% of your daily required of iron, 91% of selenium. Okay. It has 300% of your vitamin C, 100% of your B2. And how many of you do you know which vitamin literally quashes cortisol, your stress hormone? You know which vitamin that is? Vitamin C. Do you know Ningxia Red is the highest food innately in vitamin C? Nothing even comes close, nothing. It is like Secretariat at the last of the Triple Crown. For those of you who've not seen that movie, if you're a horse person or not, doesn't matter, watch that movie. It is a phenomenal movie, Secretariat, and it's a true story. But if you watch that, at the very end, that's Ningxia Red, where he is so far beyond anything and anyone that nothing can touch it. Nothing. And he still could have gone forever. Do you know people who have high cortisol, stress hormone, okay, excess belly fat, all sorts of stuff, can't sleep, wake up between 2 and 4 a.m., all sorts of things. The number one nutrient that quashes cortisol is vitamin C. And remember what I said about rutin? It's innate in this. It is innate. You don't have to add it in synthetically from a lab, okay? So I'm going to get more detailed into this as we go on, because it also has a quad complex polysaccharides, which, okay. Oh boy, here we go. I've got them all listed out. So let's rock. So this is a whole body nutrient infusion. It has anthocyanins, it has boron. So this is one of the things I'm going to tell you. Okay, so we're going to do a personal flip here. The Lycium barbarum are wolfberries, but this is what I'm going to share with you. This is what Gary shared with us. Wolfberries are, you'll hear them called goji berries. Goji berries literally are like apples are in North America. There's over 300-400 different species of apples. Okay, so many different types of apples, but there's one that has a highest nutrient value. It's goji berry. There's many types of goji berries, but there is one that has a nutritional profile that I'm speaking about now, and that's ours, and we have the exclusive to it. It's from the West Elbow Plateau of the Upper Yellow River in Mongolia, in the Ningxia province. These wolfberries have a completely different nutritional profile than any other goji berries anywhere, anytime. And that's what Young Living has. And Gary has made sure that Young Living had it because we contracted it through the university from Su Chao's father, who was a professor there. And that's how it all came about. And Su Chao was one of the scientists and chemists at Young Living that ran the GCs before she retired. And that's how this came about. It was definitely a divine appointment set in the ethers, if you will, set from the heavens. So why did I do sidetrack? Because I want to talk about nightshades. For those of us, y'all, I've been diagnosed with 6 autoimmune diseases, 6. And I'm like, come on, really? 6. And those with autoimmune should not have nightshades because they have a specific amino acid in that tends to create inflammation because the liver can't digest and process it. However, here's your catch, here's your however. And so I'm going to do a caveat here. And this is just because I know this because of my personal experiences. There is a quad glycoconjugate complex within, okay, within the wolfberry, this specific wolfberry, that literally goes through the mitochondria into the nucleus of the cell and turns off the autoimmune response. Extensive research on this, yours truly did, because I had to understand this crazy little berry. But the other thing about it now, okay, now I'm going to do a sidestep. If you have an adrenal-driven autoimmune, you are at higher risk for inflammation from Ningxia red. If you do not have an adrenal-driven autoimmune, then you will thrive and soar with the eagles. So you've got to test it out and see for yourself, okay? And the reason what triggered that for me is boron, for example. Boron, and there's a few other ones which as they come up, are really minerals that people who have multiple autoimmune diagnoses are low in, dangerously low in. Another one is sulfur, okay? So these are things that are innate in the berry, completely innate in the berry, all right? And this is what makes it so amazing. Oh, no, come back. I wasn't done yet. Okay, I'm trying to do my little shrinky thing so I can see everything. There we go. Okay, so here we are. There's calcium, okay? There's catechin, there's copper, there's the right kind of copper, by the way. There's iron, there's lycopene. Now, the lycopene, you know, is really big in tomatoes, but sometimes tomatoes have that lectin in, which causes, again, pro-inflammatory. So this lycopene is the healthy kind that's very good for the heart that does not. Okay, then we have magnesium and manganese, of course, sulfur, which is the MSM. We have phenols, potassium, sodium, strontium, phenomenal mineral in a perfect balance. Out of balance, it will cause great issues. In balance, in conjunction with other strontium, is phenomenal for those dangerous diagnoses that I personally have had 3 times, but some people, and you know, oh, the fact that it's in here innate is the coolest ever. Tocopherols, trocotinols, vitamin C, and zinc. Okay, and with what's circling the planet, what are they saying? You need zinc, you need zinc, you need zinc. Okay, so let's talk about, I already mentioned the quad polysaccharide complex, which is 6 glyconutrients. I already mentioned that. Did you know what now are they saying you need? You need to stay healthy above this thing that we're currently finding ourselves in? Polysaccharides. You need a lot of polysaccharides. Do you know the single food that is head and shoulders above all other foods that have polysaccharides? Ningxia red. Ningxia red is so far beyond any other food, and they don't have the quad complex, because the quad complex is like the grand slam. It's like first base, second base, third base, home. Let's get it done. Bam. That's, nobody has this, nobody, and it's innate in the berry and it's in our berries. Okay, we have polyphenols, you know, which are major organ protectants. Our polyphenols are phenomenal major organ protectants. Carotenoids, isoflavonoids, okay? Look at all of this. Quercetin. People go out and they get synthetic quercetin. It's innate in the berry, okay? Ellagic acid. Ellagic acid is known to keep our cells elastic, all right? I don't want to get too crazy on you, but come on. And then we have zeaxanthin and lutein. Now we just came out, I don't know if y'all have the I formula or not, but we just, in Philippines, but we came out with the I formula last year. But do you know the Ningxia red has the highest amount of the perfect balance of zeaxanthin and lutein? Did you know that? The highest amount of the perfect balance of zeaxanthin and lutein. And if you, this book here, okay, the Ningxia wolfberry, the ultimate superfood, do you know who named it the ultimate superfood? The scientist that tested it at Brunswick Laboratory. He actually called it the ultimate organic superfood, but we couldn't put organic on it because it's sold in many different countries. But this is the book you want to get. You want to learn what I'm teaching you? This is the book you want to get. Get it from LSP. It is phenomenal. The zeaxanthin and lutein for vision. Now, I had a not good accident a few years ago, and I had my 4th concussion, but this time it because I hit a metal pole at a very high velocity and got knocked out, I got double vision. So now the glasses are just so that I cannot see 4 of what I'm looking at, because when I take them off, one eye splits that way and one eye splits this way. And until I can get enough healed in here from the severe impact, I get to wear glasses. But y'all, before that, I didn't wear glasses. I don't wear glasses. So mine are just to help correct that double vision thing, okay? The zeaxanthin and lutein. My former husband, Steve, he was getting, every 9 months, he was getting stronger and stronger in glasses. Since he started drinking Ningxia Red, his prescription has dropped 9 prescriptions, 9 strengths in reverse, meaning gotten weaker. Now to the point, the only time he needs to wear them before, I mean, they were so thick. He couldn't be a pilot because his glasses were so thick. Do you know he's a blink away from getting his pilot's license thanks to Ningxia Red? Because he doesn't have to wear his glasses anymore at all. He only wears them now for driving. That's it. He takes them off to read before. Oh my gosh, y'all, we all have stories about this. So that's the zeaxanthin and lutein. Now, it is the only food that has vitamin B1, 2, 3, 6, beta carotene, and betaine. Do you know that? And it has 250 milligrams of innate organic fiber, which follows the green standard in China, which supersedes any organic standard in the world. And then it has all of these antioxidants. Now I want you to look at something called p-coumaric acid. Do you see that word coumaric? What does it look like? What does it look like? Okay, coumadin, right? What would happen if you had the ability to drink something from nature with only positive side effects versus something from a prescription that had tons and was loaded with tons of negative side effects? I want you to think about that. Think about that. Now, I'm not telling you to stop that because you have to keep monitored by your physician. I'm going to be really clear about that. Anytime you're on a medication, you need to continue to be monitored from your medical physician. It's so important. But please tell them, I am working nutritionally. I am working and changing my nutrition and my diet. So I would like you to continue to test me and monitor me, because my goal is to safely and healthfully, with your support, weaken, lessen, and get off as many medications as possible, healthfully and safely with your physician's support. That is all of our goals. Okay, now the other thing I want you to look at is cerebrosides. What does cerebrosides look at? Cerebrosides, what does that sound like? Okay, the brain. Phenomenal for the brain. Okay, now I'm going to throw you a curveball. You ready? Oh, I'll back up. I got to see your faces though, because I made your faces go away. I got to watch faces here. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, Meds is like, Meds, your face is on. She's smiling. Is she smiling because she's like, Cherie, you're talking too much, be quiet?
They love the training and people are loving it. Members are really loving this one.
Okay, good. Meds is like this, and I'm like, uh-oh, either I'm saying the wrong things or... Okay, so there is several documents in China that literally have proven that the Lycium barbarum, the berries that make up 51% of this beverage, can slow down and reverse the aging process in the brain. So remember when I said about time? Well, if you have young living, we can make an exception to that rule about we all have the same amount of time. Okay? Pretty cool, huh? All right, so I'm not telling you anything that's not medically documented, and you can look it up for yourself. All right, so now I'm going to go back again. So Franco, did I wear Franco out already? He's like, I need to go get me some Ningxia. Okay, here we go.
He doesn't want to interrupt. He wants it to just go and go because all of us are really having a good time listening and learning so much from you.
Okay. We're doing a seminar. Okay, I have to share this with you really quick, and then I'm gonna get back on track. It'll be like 30 seconds. Two mornings ago for you, when we were with the our wonderful Singapore people, they're like, I want to do harvest training with Cherie. I want to do harvest training with Cherie. Will y'all? Kai, tell them they're getting harvest training with Cherie. I can't see you because you're on Facebook, not on here. But will you tell them they're all getting harvest training with Cherie? Can you tell them that? Because they said they wanted it. So only you get to do it from your homes. Okay, here we go. Let's go back on track. All right. Uh-oh. Whoa, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way. There we go. Okay. So this is what's also important, really important to understand about, whoops, wrong button. Sorry, here we go. Okay, I want you to look at these trace elements. There is no food in the world that has these trace elements. Okay, now we all know fluoride is a toxic chemical. It's literally a plutonium weapons grade byproduct, toxic to the nerves. But did you know that fluorine is a naturally occurring mineral that we need to actually keep our bones and hard tissue strong? Okay, germanium. Germanium is one of the most powerful minerals there are. Okay, iodine, we know that's phenomenal for our endocrine system, all right? And again, lithium for our immune cells, to strengthen our immune cells, okay, in the right doses, manganese. Now, I want to talk about molybdenum, I want to talk about vanadium, I want to talk about zinc, and I want to talk about selenium, and I want to talk about chromium, because those are the areas for me that and iodine, of course, because being diagnosed with 6 autoimmune different diagnoses, all right, and I can list them for you: lupus, fibromyalgia, gout, rheumatoid arthritis, Hashimoto's, Graves. 6. Those are the 6 that I have been diagnosed with in my life. And I can throw in Crohn's, and I can throw in ulcerative colitis. So if those are now considered autoimmune, that's 8. Okay. My body is deficit in chromium, and all autoimmune bodies have a deficit in addition to sulfur, chromium, molybdenum, vanadium, zinc, and selenium, and iodine. So now do you see that Ningxia Red flies in the face of that nightshade comment? Because the very things that an autoimmune body needs is in here. But again, if you're adrenal driven, you gotta do your own testing. Okay, I'm gonna be really clear about that, because I can only tell you what works for me and the people I've had the privilege to be around. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is amino acids. Okay, these amino acids, do you know that amino acids are the building block? And that's why this is so good for people who are vegan. And this is so good for people who have a hard time converting animal protein into amino acids, because you need amino acids for healthy cells. You need amino acids for healthy organs, healthy brain function, healthy muscles, healthy bones, healthy everything. You need amino acids. And do you know that Ningxia Red is the only food in the world that has 18 amino acids innate? Not added synthetically from a lab, innate. And these amino acids are critical for our immunity and everything else that I have mentioned. Okay, and I want you to look at the histidine. Now, how many people need to take antihistamines because of allergies? Well, I want you to look at the histidine here and just put 2 and 2 together in your puzzle piece, okay? So there's that. Now, this was done by Brunswick laboratory scientists, and this is the SORAD, which is the superoxide dismutase. That's the SOD, superoxide dismutase ORAT comparison chart. And what that means, quite simply, is that the ability of a body, the fastest thing that oxidizes or ages or rusts our body is the dismutase. Okay, there is an oxide dismutase literally that has the ability, and so this is the #1 free radical scavenger, #1 antioxidant that goes after the superoxide dismutase, which is the #1 thing that causes the fastest cellular breakdown in our body. Now, I want you to look at the chart. These are some of the top, quote, antioxidants in the world. A lot of them have synthetic additives in, a lot of them. And look at where Ningxia Red scored. Again, so far beyond, and it is completely 100% void of synthetic toxins, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. So what are some of the things that it does? Obviously, energy and vigor. protects the body, which we've talked about. It said it assists with mild memory issues associated with the normal aging process. Okay, it helps our body to maintain normal, healthy blood pressure and blood sugar levels. It helps our body for supporting a healthy immune system. It helps to neutralize the top 4 most dangerous free radicals, which are what causes our cells to break down the fastest. It helps our bodies to maintain healthy cholesterol levels and that are already in normal ranges. It helps to uplift, in China where this comes from, you know what it's called? It's called the happy berry and it's called the brain berry. That's right. Where this comes from, the slang names for it is called happy berry or brain berry. So of course, that's what we talk about, the emotional well-being. And of course, we also know it's the highest antioxidant. So now I want to give you some personal testimonies. Okay. All right. I feel so, y'all, it's like, seriously, do you know we have been going at this for almost 3 hours? No, I just looked at my clock just now.
Yes, and everybody's still here, and we have about more than 1,200 comments, Cherie. Yes.
No way.
Yes,
No.
way.
Oh my gosh. Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, we have the best products in the world. You are a part of the most amazing community that you could ever be landing in and asked for in the world. And I'm not kidding. These are not empty words. You have a community of people who are here for the right reasons. And this is something you can be so proud of. So proud of. Shout it from the mountaintops, y'all. Just shout it from the mountaintops because that's who we are. So I want to share with you. Now I'm going to share personal testimonies as these are my triggers. So I'd like you to put yourself in the place of a father and a mother who has a little boy who's carrying around some excess weight, who's 8 years old. And he plays soccer, but he sits on the bench the whole time because he cannot run up and down the field once without getting winded and have to go sit down on the bench. So he wears the jersey, but he sits on the bench. I was at an expo for the Twin Cities Marathon, and a dad came up. He was a runner, and so he was asking me about it. So I told him about the Ningxia Red. Well, runners, they don't do new stuff before the marathons. They wait till after. So he ordered some, and we shipped it to him. And this is the story that I got, an email that I got. And this was in 2003. He sent me an email and he said, Cherie, he goes, I would like to tell you something. I had a hard time believing you when you told me the things that this red drink would do, the Ningxia Red. He said, but I need to tell you what happened to my son. My son plays soccer. He sits on the bench. He can't run up and down. The coach puts him in every now and again just because he's 8 and he likes to put all the players in. But my son's self-esteem is very low because he carries extra weight. Well, the flu came through and my son needed to play the whole game. Otherwise, his team would have had to forfeit the game. So I gave him those little packets and told him to take a little packet before the game, during the break, and so he did. He said, not only did my son last the whole game, but he scored the winning goal. Now I want you to think about that. Those little tiny red packets. Yeah, it's 2 ounces of some red stuff that I've been like jumping all over for you. But I want you to think about that little boy at 8 years old. And I want you to think about that mom and dad. And I want you to think about that self-esteem of that little 8-year-old boy. And the fact that not only was he able to play the whole game, but he was able to keep his team from forfeiting, and he was able to score the winning goal. When I read that, I had tears well up in my eyes. And I'm like, y'all, we never know. We never know how what we have is going to affect someone's life. That little boy's self-esteem that day turned around. His dad said, I have a new son. Something happened to him in that game, and I have a new son. And I want you to think about that. A simple 2 packets of Ningxia Red. Did that for that little boy. Now his dad, a month later, his dad emails me and he goes, Cherie, he goes, just when I thought that we had this red stuff figured out, you're not going to believe what he did. He's a seasoned marathoner. He took 30 seconds off of each mile. Do you know, now that may not sound a lot, but y'all, that's 13 and a half minutes. 13 and a half minutes he took off his timing. And that was just with 1 ounce a day. For a seasoned marathoner, seasoned. They're usually come in within 5 minutes all the time for seasoned marathoners. He goes, is it okay if I take more? I'm like, yes. Okay. So I really want you to think about that. And he goes, here's the other thing, Cherie. He goes, I didn't cramp up after. He goes, I always cramp up. No matter how many electrolytes I do, I always cramp up. He goes, I did not cramp up. He goes, honest to God, I was not exhausted. I came across that finish line and I did not cramp up. He goes, it's like I didn't have lactic acid buildup in my muscles. And I'm just smiling. And then afterwards he goes, I got to be honest. I didn't believe you, but now I do. Okay? This is what we have. So this is Pam Fisher, and this is Sea Lion Fonte. He's an off-the-track thoroughbred. He holds the highest score in the Olympic level eventing in the world for a stallion. He's a stud, y'all. He's a stallion. He has been retired for 5 years. 5 years he's been retired. And he still is the highest point holder. There is no stallion that has matched his points. I want you to think about that. Amazing, amazing. So Pam didn't start breeding him until pretty much after she retired him because she didn't want him to, he's around a lot of mares. Y'all, there's like 4 or 5, there's so many hundreds of horses at these big events. She competes at Rolex and all that. He's retired now. But, so she didn't want him to get used to that when he's around mares that are in season. So she completely kept him from not breeding until he was retired. Okay, I hope you all know he was like 17 when he started breeding. Do you know how old that is for a horse to start breeding? Most studs start breeding at 3, okay? And what did she do? She put clary sage and peppermint in his nose in the when she'd be around mares for eventing. I want to tell you his sperm motility rate is in the 98th percentile at 22. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying because this just doesn't apply to horses. His motility rate, his swimmers, y'all, he has Michael Phelps. All right, his swimmers are Michael Phelps. And are you ready for this? He has 8 times the amount of a horse that's half his age. So he has 8 times the amount of Michael Phelps swimmers. And he is in the 98th percentile of motility, which means effectiveness. They have to be careful with him because 1 dose in an insemination in a mare will produce twins. 1 dose. Normally they have to multiple dose a mare to get anything at all for fertility when she has a ready follicle. Okay? So I want you to hear that. Hear that. She gives him 2 ounces a day, 1 ounce in each feeding. That's what she gives him. How many of you would love that? I told her about the ancient Chinese saying that says, man eating Ningxia wolfberry should not walk more than 10 kilometers a day away from home. It's because if he wants to stay married, because certain anatomical parts in men work really, really well when they eat the berries and drink Ningxia Red. Let me tell you, they work like really well, no matter what your age. Okay. I hope I'm not embarrassing anybody. I tried to say this in the nice way, but can you believe that? I mean, 8 times the amount of Michael Phelps swimmers at 22 for a horse. You ask any horse person, they're going to go, that is impossible. She's like, because she has veterinarians do the polls and do the labs. Okay, let's go next. So we already talked about, this is called the happy berry. The other slide talked about the mood. There are certain nutrients when people have low moods because of nutritional deficiency that are innate in Ningxia Red that literally lift you up. There's also citrus oils in Ningxia Red. Citrus oils are known. Okay, so you're ready for this. I can do the bam, bam. Citrus oils. I wish I could see you. Oh, I just wish I could see you. So you all just like feel a lot so I can feel your hearts, okay? Because I miss seeing you. Citrus oils upon inhalation. Now remember, the fastest way into the brain is through the nose. The second fastest way of the brain is through the mouth. You're drinking Ningxia Red, so where's it going? It's on the roof of the mouth because you're not putting it in capsules. You're drinking it. It's going on the roof of the mouth. Citrus oils. When you consume citrus oils, your body creates more endorphins. What are endorphins known as? What are endorphins known as? Happy hormones. Now I want to be really clear. Citrus oils do not give you endorphins. They do not create the endorphins. I'm going to be very clear about that. Citrus oils work with the body in such a way when they are consumed, the body naturally creates more endorphins. Hence, what we talked about, its nickname, the happy berry. Okay? It also mentioned memory. There are certain nutrients like the lithium and other minerals, boron, okay, the other minerals and amino acids that literally work to fortify the memory centers of the brain. That's why it's called the brain berry in China. Okay, and those are the amino acids and other nutrients that are very clearly in there. Innate, again, not added synthetically from a lab. All right, we already talked a little bit about vision. I kind of blew my vision one, but this is it, to see clearly. There are so many people you have stronger, leaner muscles. You don't build those bulky muscles, but this is the cool part. This is the really cool part. What would happen if you could have long, lean muscles, but have the strength of the bulky muscles? Do you know the bulky muscles tear faster? They tear, they break down faster. Long, lean muscles, they're more elastic. So for me, you give me long, lean muscles any day with the strength of the bulky muscles, yes, I can fit into my clothes better, okay? And they don't break down as fast. They don't create as much lactic acid as fast. So how many of you would love to have the strength without the big bulk? Okay. Now, if you want the bulk, then we talk about other stuff and I can get you there, but not on this call or Zoom. So, but imagine what it would be like to have that strength and have solid muscles. The other thing is imagine what it would be like well, here we go, right there. What would happen if you convert food into fuel, not food into fat? Do you know that Ningxia Red helps your body convert food into fuel, not food into fat? Imagine that. Now, if you're going to be eating unhealthy foods all day and high carbs, okay, we got to talk a little bit. Okay, those nasty high carbs that pile the weight on, we got to talk. So you got to eat smart and eat wise for your body and eat wise and exercise. But the bottom line is, what would your body be like if you could convert more food into fuel and not food into fat? We already talked about Ningxia Red is the highest food in calcium, the highest food in vitamin C. And what nutrient literally dissipates cortisol, which keeps that belly fat on you? Vitamin C. You've got it right here. Okay? Okay. So, Meds, any questions on Ningxia Red?
We know everybody is inspired about all the stories and also about your boy. So no questions so far. Everybody's loving it. I'm also loving it and having goosebumps while you explain everything. I'm so inspired myself here.
Okay, y'all, this is like seriously like marathon session.
I'm a runner, Cherie, so you really inspired me and it explains a lot. Yep.
Okay, well, you got to kind of get on Franco because he's the one who said we should have Cherie. And I'm like, you really want me to talk about all of this in 1 hour? Ain't happening. Not to do a good job. Okay, so let's go, everyone. Okay, MSM, methylsulfonomethane. How about we just say sulfur? How about we just say sulfur? Not sulfa, which everybody's allergic to. Sulfa, okay, because MSM, sulfur, is actually in Ningxia red, all right? It's in the wolfberry. It's in fruits, it's in vegetables, it's in broccoli, it's in trees, it's in the ocean, it's in mother's milk. Sulfur. Sulfa is a chemist trying to mimic the sulfur molecule created in a lab with lots of side effects. It is an allergen by nature, and some people are more reactive than others. And I know many of you are allergic to sulfa. I happen to be one of them because I was given too much as a child, okay? But it is not the same as sulfur. So please hear that. This is not sulfa, this is sulfur. You would be dead without sulfur. You could not have a body without sulfur. Sulfur is the fourth largest component that makes our body up. You literally could not have a body if you didn't have sulfur. So nobody can be allergic to sulfur, but everyone can be allergic to sulfa. There is a difference. Okay, so MSM, again, which is one of the basic elements of life, okay, and it is used for the proper functioning and conversion of proteins. And if the proteins in our body are not functioning properly, we will have some serious issues, one of which is cancer. Because proteins that cannot convert to amino acids properly create protein toxicity, which creates things like leaky gut, which creates all sorts of brain issues, and it also creates cancer, by the way, okay? So this is why sulfur is so important, because it helps our body convert protein into amino acids to prevent protein toxicity. Very good. So of course, I already mentioned a lot of these, but these are just some of the foods that are high in sulfur. Okay, the highest vegetable in sulfur, I believe, is broccoli, I think. Okay, there we go. So let's talk about sulfurzyme. And I have mine, what did I do with it? Oh, it's right here. Okay, I personally take 12 to 20 capsules a day of my sulfurzyme. Let's get you right. There we go. 12 to 20 capsules a day is what I take, just because of all the diagnoses and my health history and my accident and injury history, okay? And my burn history and everything else. So that's me. So this is what is in sulfurzyme, okay? And there is wolfberry. Now let's go to the next slide. Oops, here we go. Let's go back. I want to talk a little bit about sulfurzyme. Sulfurzyme is MSM. You can go online and buy MSM really cheap, methylsulfonomethane sulfur. You can buy it really cheap. And you will have 16, at the best, 16% bioavailability. Average, 84% you'll urinate out. Why? Because you need certain levels of vitamin C with rutin, and you need certain specific minerals and amino acids combined with it to make it bioavailable. If not, your body can't uptake it, much like what we started with before. Okay, how I've talked about other things before in this. So because of this, Gary looked at the profile of our Ningxia wolfberry, literally looked at the profile and went, oh my gosh, that is the perfect ratio. If I can get the ratios right, okay, if I can get the percentages right, this will make our sulfurzyme over 98% bioavailable MSM. And guess what? He did. Our sulfurzyme is 98 or higher percent bioavailable. Do you know the average other MSM is 16% bioavailable? Sure, it's cheaper, but you'll never get the results that you could with this. Never, never, never. So why not spend your money, invest in yourself? And I'm going to talk to you about what it does. And I'll tell you why I take it. It is, and it's safe for those of you who have dogs and animals. It's safe for them, safe for cats. Okay, safe for everybody. Do you know Dr. Ron Lawrence did extensive research on this with Gary? And Dr. Ron Lawrence used to be the chief of staff at UCLA Medical School Neurological Department. They did a toxicity test on Young Living Sulfurzyme, and guess what it came up? You could take a whole bottle within 1 hour's time with 0 cell toxicity. He tested it to the nth degree, 0 cell toxicity. You can take more sulfurzyme than water and have 0 cell toxicity. So you don't need to worry about too much. Most people don't take enough. And the labeling laws that Young Living has to abide by are such that they have to follow each country's government's labeling laws. In the US, it says take 2 capsules. I can tell you, nobody needs 2 capsules. Maybe a min pin, okay? Maybe a min pin needs 2 capsules, a tiny little 5-pound dog. Other than that, most people need 8 to 10 or more because of the deficit that we are functioning in. Very few people. And so this is just such a blessing to us. You have no idea. So here's what I'm asking of you. You can go online and find stuff cheaper, and you will get cheaper, no results. Or you can use the items that have exactly what you need to get maximum results across the board. Bottom line. And that's sulfurzyme. So let's talk about some of what it does. Okay, first of all, it works with the liver. This is one of the other things that helps your liver get healthy so it can help create healthy levels of glutathione. Sulfurzyme does not give you glutathione. I'm going to be really clear about that. Okay, I got to be really clear. Please don't hear that. Don't say, oh, sulfurzyme will give me glutathione. No, sulfurzyme literally helps your liver to have a healthier environment by helping it to gently and effectively detox itself, so that your liver can literally on its own create healthier levels of glutathione. One of the most powerful things for our immune system and our longevity. Okay, next, hair. If you want thicker, more glorious, resilient, now you're in the Philippines, y'all. Y'all have the most amazing hair in the world. All right, you all just do. You have the envy of the world hair. There are some of us that were born with angleworms attached to our head. That would be me. Actually, I used to have really thick hair, but then with all the diagnoses, my hair kept falling out. So right now I'm loving what I do have. But this is what sulfurzyme does, hair. And the other thing that it does, it slows down the graying process of the hair. Because sulfur at the proper levels literally helps to really push back premature graying. So sulfurzyme is one of the most powerful things you can do for your hair. Not only does it speed up the growth of the hair, it literally thickens. Now, the hair that's already out, it's not going to thicken the diameter. But the new hair growth, it will thicken the diameter of your hair. Okay? Yes. So it's so powerful. So I know that a lot of the women don't necessarily need that, but I've seen some Filipino men that could really use some sulfurzyme to help them. Okay? And so I'm saying that with love, everybody. Okay, I'm saying that with love. You hear that with love, all right? So how many do you need? You need at least 12 capsules a day for it to affect your hair. The first 8 capsules you take in a day deals with your organs, your major organ functions, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your stomach, all your major organs, the first 8 capsules. So your first 8 capsules don't do anything but take care of your organs. Once you get to the 9th on up capsule, that's when all the other good stuff happens, okay? Which I'm going to talk about. Nails. This is another one. If you would like strong, beautiful nails. Now, if you're a nail biter, I can't help you. Other than put black pepper oil on your fingers, and chances are that you won't bite them as much, okay? If you really want one, put valerian oil on your nails. Then you really won't bite them. It'll be like, they won't even get near your mouth, okay? So here we go. Nails. It's going to be a minimum of 3 months because you need that much time for the outgrowth. Minimum of 3 months, and you're going to need 12 to 15 a day to see your nails really be mighty and beautiful and strong. Okay, now if you tend to get ridges, You might need to drink more Ningxia Red because that means you need additional calcium. Okay, you need additional calcium, so you might need to drink Ningxia Red. You do not get enough calcium from milk or cheese or anything like that. The highest food in calcium is Ningxia Red. It's head and shoulders above everything else. The second is kale. The third is spinach. Milk isn't even in the top 50. Your dairy's not even in the top 50, y'all. It's a wives' tale. Your vegetables are higher in calcium, but your highest above everything else is Ningxia Red. So you might, if you got ridges and nails splitting, sulfurzyme and Ningxia Red, okay? And at least 2 ounces a day of Ningxia Red. So I want to talk about skin. This is one of the biggest pieces because it literally, MSM, sulfur, and the Lycium barberry together, Ningxia wolfberry, help to restore elasticity in the skin. So you can have the appearance. What does that do? What's one of the biggest things that people notice when the calendar pages turn a lot? Things start sagging and drooping, right? Everything starts sagging and drooping. Things start sagging and drooping, okay? Things start sagging and drooping, all right? Sulfurzyme helps keep the skin and all your tissues very elastic. I want you to hear that. All your tissues very elastic. So your connective tissue, your skin, okay? The other thing that it does, it helps to minimize the appearance of scarring. That's right. Now that is going to take you at least a year. So, and of daily use. Now you can maybe stop 1 day a week. Gary always said, take your supplements for 6 days, give yourself a Sabbath day of rest. Give yourself a day of rest with your supplements. Unless you have a degenerative condition going on, then you can't do that. But other than that, he said, take your supplements for 6 days, 7th day is rest day. So truly, okay, truly, if you really would love to have youthful, and see, again, in the Philippines, y'all can be 70 and you look 30. I don't know what it is, but that is that beautiful culture that you all have in the Asian culture, the Polynesian culture, Filipino culture. You all have this exquisitely beautiful skin. But I know sometimes we have accidents like me. When I had lupus, it was in my brain, my ascending colon, my pericardium, and my kidneys. And it ate a big hole in the side of my face here coming through the brain. And it ate a big hole under here, big hole. And I had nothing but, I mean, it was like hamburger meat flesh underneath. It was so bad. And my endocrinologist and rheumatologist and dermatologist, I had a lot of ologists, said, Cherie, you will never grow flesh again. And I said, well, that's okay, because you told me I was going to die. So what doesn't matter, you know? Well, look at no plastic surgery. Okay, none. Now, when I get tired, I get a flap here because the lupus literally did such damage to the brain that this eye dropped, this mouth dropped, this whole side of the face dropped. And I've worked really diligently. Now I was bleeding internally, hemorrhaging. Y'all, my heart was not in good shape. I'll just say that. The sulfurzyme has been paramount. And with the horrific car accident that I had when I was 28 years old, severely damaged my body. The sulfurzyme has been going in and literally helping me to become elastic again, helping me to be mobile again, helping the appearance of everything be restored again. Okay, without excessive scarring, still maintaining. So that's skin. Now, gums. I already talked about gums. Remember, sulfur for the tender internal tissue. I'm talking internal tissue now, and not just the gum tissue, okay? But I'm talking all very, very tender, fragile tissue of the body. It gives it resiliency. The sulfur with the Lycium barbarum gives it resiliency, gives that very tender tissue wherever you have tender tissue in every area of your body, brilliant resiliency, okay? Strength. Sulfurzyme, because it helps convert protein into amino acids, you have strength faster than you would if you didn't take it. You also have more penetration, and you have the ability to maintain muscle mass longer. It slows down the erosion of muscle mass. So you have the ability to maintain muscle mass and hold on to your muscle tone longer. How exciting is this? Did y'all know that about sulfurzyme? All right, it's so amazing, so amazing. All righty, so let's go. Flexibility. The other thing about sulfurzyme is it keeps your joints flexible. It keeps your joints strong, sturdy, stable, and elastic. How many of you would love to have a body that would bend and not break? How many of you would love to have joints that move freely and don't hurt? How many of you would love that? How many of you would love to be able to bend over and not get up and go, oh? How many of you would love to get up in the morning and not have to worry about how you move for the first half hour so you don't throw something out? How many of you would love to have the wisdom of your years on the planet, but the body of your youth, the energy of your youth, the mobility of your youth? Okay? That's what I'm talking about here. Oops. So, one of the things that sulfurzyme does, sulfurzyme helps the endocrine organs function better. And this is one of the reasons, in addition to joint mobility and mobility for me, and flexibility and detoxification of the liver, but all autoimmune means you have endocrine organ malfunction. All autoimmune, all. No one is exempt. Your endocrine system is not functioning properly. You know, sulfurzyme is the main supplement for your endocrine system to help fortify it and help it to remember what it's like to be healthy again. Yeah, that's sulfurzyme. I have a lot of scar tissue in my body. I have a lot of extensive inflammation, just a lot of toxic chemicals from the multiple surgeries and everything. And of course, 25 years in the salon industry, working 7 days a week, plus everything else I've been exposed to. So yours truly takes 12 to 20 sulfurzyme a day. That's what works for me. The average person takes 8 to 12 a day. You have to find what works for you. Start out slow and work up. Now, to see optimal results, 8 weeks before you judge it. 3 months is best. Before you can even say it's working or not, you need to be on it for 8 weeks at your proper dose. And that is just because you have to infill the deficit. We all have such a huge deficit, so you have to fill up the deficit, and then you'll start to notice the difference. And it takes that long for your body to do that. So make a commitment to at least 3 months, okay? But I want you to journal before you start it what you're noticing about your body, because you're going to feel so good that you're going to forget how bad it was. So I want you to journal before, and then in 3 months, determine. And this is the key. It's one of the most amazing, amazing gifts there are. Now, for those of you who are sharing and living with others and working it as a business, okay, sulfurzyme used to be around 40 some US dollars. Now it's more than that, but it used to be that. When I started with Young Living, it was 38 US dollars. Okay, there was a gentleman who built his business 100% on sulfurzyme. That's right, on sulfurzyme. He got to the rank of silver. Now, silver now is 10,000 US dollars. Silver back then, $250,000 a month. That was what it took to get to silver back then when I was the silver. In order to get to the rank of silver, and you had to have multiple ranking leaders under you, a cross line, not just volume, but they had to hold the rank position also, which had many hoops to jump through. That was silver rank. $250,000 a month. Okay. This gentleman did nothing but share sulfurzyme with people, and he enrolled people with sulfurzyme. And that's where his organization made it to. So is sulfurzyme powerful? Yeah, it's very powerful. And how come? Because he saw such benefit, and everyone that committed to 3 months saw so much benefit that people started to notice around them that they started to get their life back, their mobility back. They started to look younger. Their hair got thicker. They started to like not sag so much. So many options. The people were asking, what are you doing? They go, I'm just using, y'all, I'm just using this. That's all. I'm just using this. Okay. That's what they said. There we go. That's out of the shadows. There. People are like, well, can I get some? They go, sure. They enrolled them. They ordered it. They stayed on it. And then the cycle perpetuated itself. How many of you would like to have a $250,000 a month? Okay. That now is the rank of diamond. Back then, that was silver. All right. So good. And did you hear how inexpensive our products were? $38 for sulfurzyme. Okay. So let's go on. We're wrapping it up. Oh, any questions? Meds, any questions?
No, they all want to share. They all want to try sulfurzyme, and they will start to share sulfurzyme to their friends and families. Yep.
Okay.
It's all love for you, Cherie.
I cannot believe it. Y'all, we have a 4-hour class going on, 3.5 hours. Seriously? This is nuts. This is like nuts. Nuts. Okay, we're winding on home. So here we go. Oh, where's my LME? Oh, so I could not end this Zoom. There we are, my friend. I could not end this Zoom without talking about LME. Well, I was not asked to. This is my contribution now. The rest, Franco and everyone else picked, but this one's mine. So this is your farm. This is our beautiful Happy Peely farm. Look at how gorgeous it is. And I want you to look at that picture, and I want you to feel the love and gratitude. And I'd also love for you to send love and gratitude. Because what this farm gives us and its community is a gift from above. Okay? So just take a few seconds and feel the love and gratitude, and send love and gratitude to this beautiful farm of ours, our beautiful farm. So important that we do that, because the plants can feel it. The plants can feel it. So here's another wonderful picture of our gorgeous farm in your wonderful country. And they measure, everything is a science. They measure exactly where to tap it. Remember, trees are not cut down. Okay? It's much like frankincense. The LME comes from the frankincense family, and it also comes from the myrrh family. Frankincense and myrrh come from this very similar genuses in our plant world. So this is where then the resin starts to come. Okay, much similar. Now we don't do that with the frankincense. With the frankincense, we do a scallop. We scallop it out. But this is how we do it with the Happy Peely, the LME. And look at that beautiful farm. Look at that absolutely beautiful place. In your prayer time, in your worship time, in your gratitude time, please everyone, send positive thoughts and of gratitude, love, and appreciation to this place. Because this place serves us very, very well. And we are privileged to have it in the Philippines. And there we have it again. And there is, well, I call it resin, but there's the goo. There's the paste. So what is LME known for? Let me see. Look at that. If that is not the Happy Peely face, I don't know what is. So what is our resin good for? Okay. In Europe and in medieval times and in the Far East even. Okay, and even in Egypt, in the Middle East, This elemi was known for its skin, how it helps the skin, how it nurtures the skin, how it literally protects the skin, how it beautifies the skin. Okay? Cleopatra used this in ointments. Anytime she had an abrasion or a wound, this was what she grabbed for. I've studied Cleopatra a lot. I have great Cleopatra stories, such good ones. Okay? So anytime that you think about the skin, I would grab sacred frankincense, sacred sandalwood, elemi, myrrh. Those are all very good oils. Okay? Very good oils to use for your skin and for anything. And I have taken elemi on an open abrasion and put it right on with zero irritation and zero adverse effects and quick regeneration with no scarring. That's what I personally have done. It is wonderful. Now, one thing that's interesting, even though it has chemistry very much like frankincense and myrrh, it has action similar to helichrysum for different aspects of our body and the skin. And helichrysum is an amazing oil for the skin. elemi is a lot more budget friendly, so I'd go with this one. But I can tell you, please add elemi into any of your skincare regimens. Again, do not get it in the eyes and never dump an oil in the ear. Okay? And this is delightful. Now, to me, it smells a little bit like dill. Okay? It smells like dill to me. But you get to decide. And can I tell you something? When we were, they were distilling it when we were in Spain a year ago, April, for the diamond trip. And I put my hand in the hydrosol. They let us, my skin felt like velvet. My skin was like, oh, it was horrible. I kept petting myself. It felt so good. And the other thing that I noticed is the hand that I dipped had less brown spots on it than the hand that I didn't dip. That's just a little secret. So, my loves, there's our happy peely lady. I don't know her name. I wish I did. I haven't been there yet. It's one of the farms I haven't been to. I've been to almost all of them, but not this one. Actually, helped build some of them. So, y'all, I call him my brother, even though we have different moms and dads. This is the man right here. This is the man. And this was taken, Gary asked a couple of us to come to Ecuador with him before he bought the land for the farm. And I was one of them. And Gary literally said, what do you think, Cherie? And he took me to the highest place on the land. And it was just a bunch of scrub brush, and people were starting to use it, like dumping off things there, tires and stuff. And Gary's going, no, that's not the purpose of this land. Here's the purpose of this land. And we walked literally in a circle, 360, all the way around that top. And he said, we're going to put this here and this here and these plants here and these trees here. And we're going to have a banana grove here. And we're going to grow ylang-ylang here. And I mean, he just laid it all out. And you know, the distillery is going to go here, and the house, I'm going to put tree houses over there, and Mary and the boys' houses are going to go here for us. And he laid it all out. And then he shared his dreams with me. He drove me by the school. I was with him in the truck, and he drove me by the school, and he's going, Cherie, we got to stop. And I stopped, and he got tears in his eyes, and he goes, I have to change this. But he wasn't talking to me, he was talking to himself, and I just happened to be there because he spoke his thought. He had such a conviction of how the world, how we at Young Living could better the world. He had such a conviction. And he hardly slept, which is probably one of the reasons why he left. His body just said, you know what, I quit. His body just quit because he'd worked that of a man double his age in hours or more. but I owe my life to him. He helped save my life from not only lupus, but he also helped save my life from the parotid gland cancer. Was something I had before Young Living. And then when I came to Young Living, I had stomach and intestinal cancer. And then I also had uterine, breast, and brain cancer. None of the cancers were the same. They were all very different. And none of them went into remission and came back. I never got the same cancer back. And the third time, the uterine, breast, and brain cancer, the cancer markers were growing 5,000 points every 3 hours, and it brought the lupus back and other autoimmune with a vengeance. Y'all, I've had meningitis 5 times. I've had the kind of meningitis that Amy Purdy had that took her legs. And it ate up a part of my spine, and they said I would never walk again. Each time, Gary was there. And I was just a brand new person. I joined Young Living in 1999, and in 2000, October, the meningitis hit, October 6th. I woke up, I couldn't move, and the pain was so bad, it was unbelievable. I could move my arms and my head and my neck, and I could breathe, but I couldn't move my body. And I got taken to the hospital and got the diagnosis. And their option for me was high antibiotics, high meds, and high steroids, but it also brought the lupus back, and it would have killed me because those very things then cause the aggression, and I would not have been able to regenerate healthy cells with that lupus. So they offered me no option. So I asked to go home, and I did what I did. On Thanksgiving morning, which was 7 weeks later, I got a phone call from a guy. I thought it was my friend Gary Rudnick, and it was Gary Young, but I didn't know it. And I was in my bed, and I got a phone call. Still couldn't move. I had people with me downstairs, couldn't move. And I got a phone call, and hi, Cherie, this is Gary. And I'm like, oh, hi, Gary. I thought it was my friend. Well, then after a couple minutes, I'm like, this is not Gary Rudnick. I go, who is this? He goes, Gary. I go, Gary who? He goes, Gary Young. I went, what? No. He goes, started laughing. Then I knew it was him. He started laughing. And he goes, I hear you're in a bit of a sticky wicket. And I go, yeah, I am. And he goes, would you like some help? And I go, yeah, from who? And he started laughing again. He goes, me. So this is what he said. Now remember, I was new to Young Living. I wasn't anybody special. I was not this ranking leader. I was just your average person. But he called me because somebody, I still to this day don't know how he found out, but he did. And so he listed 6 oils for me. One of them was Melissa, because I had both bacterial and viral meningitis in my brainstem and my spinal cord. And I said, Gary, we don't have Melissa. He goes, well, I do. I go, well, we don't. And he goes, well, why not? And I go, I don't know. You own the company. You tell me. And he goes, well, Cherie, now I want you to understand something. This was 2000. Young Living was closed from Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving to Monday morning. There was no Black Friday. There was no internet. Okay, we had call-in numbers. There was nobody open anywhere. Young Living closed down for holiday weekends, closed. And Gary said, well, Cherie, I have some Melissa in my lab. This is what he said. I'll tell Rex to go into the office. This is Thanksgiving morning, y'all. Big holiday in the US. Back then, there was no Black Friday. Back then, stores were not open on Thanksgiving. Nothing was open but church service. That was it. Everything else was closed. Okay? No stores, nothing. I don't even know if gas stations were open. Gary said, I'll tell Rex to go into the lab and get some Melissa and overnight it to you. Saturday morning, I had Melissa in my hands, plus the other oils that I didn't have that Gary told me to use. 24 hours later, I could move my big toes. Gary called me on Sunday and he said, "Can you move your toes yet?" I said, "How'd you know?" Got that laugh again. He said, tomorrow, this is when they had a clinic in Springville, Young Living did, with doctors, and it was a research clinic. He said, "Call your doctors tomorrow, send all your lab reports and everything to the clinic, and get out here as soon as you can." I couldn't move enough until December 20th, almost a month later. I flew in and I moved and I got there, and Gary looked at me and the doctors looked at me and they did more labs and they said, "You're not leaving for 6 months." And I just looked at him and said, "What? No, no." So I stayed there till Christmas Eve and I flew back home, and I went every 2 weeks for 6 months. Now, what I got diagnosed with in the next 3 weeks was, this is what came back. Not only did I have the viral and bacterial meningitis, stomach and intestinal cancer, I had fibromyalgia, gout, rheumatoid arthritis, and the lupus all came back at high levels. So I had a lot to handle. It took me 18 months to get to the point where I could walk without a walker and stand up on my own, because I had to rebuild my spine because it was so damaged, just like Amy Purdy had the bottoms of her 2 legs taken off. Only I had our oils. And that was just one time. I have others. So I want you to know there's all sorts of inaccurate information on the internet. There's all sorts of photoshopped information on the internet. There's all sorts of false information on the internet about this man that I have my arm around. You just heard who he really is. And he would do this for everyone if he could. He told me repeatedly, "Cherie, they live in my heart. They live in my heart." And I could feel it. And whenever I was with him, Franco was right. He would stop the world and look in your eyes and listen to you, and you could feel him loving you through his eyes. Gary's been accused of a lot of things he didn't do. People had ulterior motives for jealousy, and they photoshopped things for you name it, okay? And when you literally defy and you threaten what other people know, because y'all, I have healed I had 3 bones broke in my foot, 3 bones. 5 days they were healed, 5 days. X-ray to MRI, 5 days. Breaks, no breaks. The average person can't believe that. So I don't tell that story very often because most people think I'm lying. Most people think I don't tell the truth because it's not believable in their frame of reference. But with what we have and with what we as divine beings have the ability to do, Gary tapped into that. He knew that better than anybody. And he just looked at me, he goes, "You know, Cherie, anything's possible." And I knew that was my cue to say, go inside and tell your body to get to work and heal itself. So please don't, you just heard for 4 flipping hours of insane teaching and sharing who he really is and what he has done for one person. And now you know why the angel came to him when he was clearing the land in St. Mary's in his dream and said, "You will need this oil of white angelica because there will be those that will try and cause you harm and you will need our protection." It's still happening even after he's laid his body down. They've caused him harm and they still are trying. In your soul, in your heart, in the core of who you are, you know the truth. And the more you use our oils, the more truth will be revealed to you. I just thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful. I don't know. Has it been helpful, honey? I don't know.
Cherie, oh my God. You made me tear up. A lot of our viewers are really thankful. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I know you inspired a lot of people right now. Franco, I'm tearing up. Oh my God. I'm so amazed about everything, the stories, the oils.
Are we still
Cherie's
going?
journey.
Are we
Yeah.
still going strong over here? Are we still
Good.
going strong over here? Woo! Cherie, you are amazing. Uh-oh. What did I step into? I feel some emotional heaviness over here. Uh-oh. Oh,
We
good.
just got sentimental about missing Gary. That's all. We missed him a lot.
Well, absolutely. There's very few people who can speak to what, especially what you had to go through, Cherie, for being there for him. Sorry I missed it. I'll watch what we covered, but yeah, absolutely.
I got a little crazy on the Cherie and the Sulfurzyme. I got a little crazy.
You got crazy on Sulfurzyme? That's okay.
I think Cherie.
So glad. Honestly, Cherie, I truly mean it. We'd love to have you out in the Philippines. It's much better in person when we can really share some of these experiences with us and with our members. But it's 4 hours out of your time. I know it's late there.
Oh my gosh, y'all. It's 10 to 1 in the morning.
It's 10 to 1. It's 10 to 1 in the morning. We kept you up. But
Hi, they beat your record. No, this
is a record. I'm pretty sure this is the record.
Well, yeah, my team keeps me on too. But okay, so this is literally harvest because we would stay up teaching till very early in the morning. We would work at harvest all day, then we would teach at night. And literally on Tuesday morning on Singapore, they're like, we want harvest teaching from Cherie. We want harvest teaching. Well, y'all got it. Is that okay?
This is a harvest. I love it. I've never been, but I've heard the stories. And just so you know, just a little bit of the chats on the side, Cherie, to let you know what you did for everybody. I know you've shared what Gary did for you, and I know that that's very personal for you, and meaningful for you. And what's really wonderful, and why you for those of you watching who don't know Gary, and you're like, why are we talking about this guy so much? Because we think about ripples and people who have made these ripples. You hear Cherie, this man, impacted her and many, many other, and she's sharing that. And then people on the call on this video, just so you know, Cherie, members who have been with Young Living for a long time have shared with me that just hearing you talk has reminded them of why that they do it. And I know that we have a lot of new people that are hearing for the first time kind of the soul, if you will, of Young Living that you're sharing, which was instilled to you, and also you were part of through Gary and through those earlier times of Young Living. So just so you know, you're carrying that power and that message, and you're impacting so many others as well through your sharing. So just want you to know that you're loved and appreciated over here, and we really, really, truly are grateful for you coming on. Really, honestly, Cherie, thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my honor. And I just hope, remember what I said, everybody, together we are more powerful than ever, okay? And together we can change our planet. We can influence and have affect in our world in a way that is so amazing and so positive. So please, with what you know, with what you learned, share. Just share with because you never know who you're going to impact. You never know whose life you're going to change. Just like that Ningxia Red packet and that little boy. You never know. You missed a great story.
I'm going to watch it. I promise. Thank you, Cherie. Thank all of you for dialing in and staying with us. For those of you who are going to watch it later, maybe we'll turn this into a mini series. But thank all of you for your time. And again, thank you, Cherie. We'll see you again soon, and maybe we'll sync up with some of our leaders. If you don't mind, maybe someone would like to hear from you. we'll try to collect some of those requests and work with you offline. Maybe some people might want to hear or sync with you, and maybe you might want to meet some of our amazing leaders that we have in the Philippines that you might not know yet. So we'll do all of that. It's just the beginning, everybody. Have an amazing night. Get some rest, Cherie. Please have some great dreams. I know they're gonna be good ones tonight. Thank you all, Young Living Philippines, and we'll call it a night. See you, Cherie.
In the morning and a day.
And a day. We got to start our afternoon.
It's afternoon now.
Start the afternoon. Okay. See you guys. Thank you.
I'm ready.